The road to the 2022 Speedway World Championship gets underway. Welcome to Glasgow for one of 4 preliminary qualifiers taking place today across Europe to determine the competitors for the Speedway Grand Prix Challenge, the final stop before the GP Series itself. The UK Speedway season started behind closed doors in 2021 as a result of the global pandemic, but the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium is now open to spectators, albeit in limited numbers under current restrictions. And the track itself is more than ready to host the world's elite, Glasgow having already held 3 matches this campaign. Today's lineup features 7 riders who race domestic speedway in the UK, including 3 Brits, plus 6 riders making returns to UK shores, including 2012 world champion Chris Holder. In total, 10 different nationalities are represented, largely nominations from each country's federation. I caught up with 5 of our Super 16 earlier on this afternoon. Here's what they had to say. Joined by Dan Bewley at the start of the World Championship qualifiers for the 2021 season. But let's start with the European Championships, where you've had a phenomenal recent performance, very much representative of an upsurge in form for you this season.
Yeah, it was good last week. Got on the podium at the European Championship, so hopefully keep progressing, and there's 3 more rounds to go, so hopefully we can get a bit higher. But I'm looking forward to tonight. Hopefully make through to the next round. That's the goal. But we just have to practice, and the track looked good, so I'm looking forward to tonight.
Talk us through your first night for the European Championships for this season, how the evening progressed, and obviously finding yourself on the podium. Plenty of tough competitors in that competition. So what were your first impressions for 2021?
Yeah, it was tough, like start of a series, and you don't really know where you're going to measure up, against the other riders. And, after a few races, I was feeling real good. And before the final, I thought, I've got a good shot here. And then I just made the pass into the lead, and the red lights came on. And then in the rerun, I ended up 3rd. So, maybe next time we'll see. But, all in all, it was a good night. And it's just been awesome this year.
Yeah, that podium really reflective, as I say, of your form, particularly in Poland this season, where clearly the level of competition is extremely high. And I think you've started to bring that consistency in the under-24 position and doing a great job out in Poland in the Extraliga. Yeah,
everyone in the team at Ross has been awesome this year, so it's almost been easy. But you don't want to let the side down when everyone's going good. So it's been a lot of fun, and just enjoying it. A few more meetings to go, and it'll be playoffs, but hopefully we can finish strong.
As you say, Wrocław very much the team to beat at the moment, with a couple of famously sort of big results and results away from home as well. Last season, I think it's fair to say that you found the going pretty tough in the Extraliga. What do you put this big step forward down to as far as this season is concerned?
Yeah, it was a difficult year last year, but people talk about it as if it was some terrible year, but in reality, I had a couple of tough meetings start of the year, and then I was injured, broke my shoulder, and ever since I came back, it was actually pretty good. I won a few races, and then had 2 good meetings at the end of the year, and good under 21 meetings. So ever since I broke my shoulder, it's been pretty good ever since then. It just got better and better, and then this year has been better again. So I had a good winter, a little bit of trials bikes, and it all seems to be working out fine. So I'll keep going.
Riding well in Poland, that good meeting in the European Championship. You come into this evening's action in a rich vein of form. Clearly it's a very strong lineup, as you'd expect at the start of a World Championship qualifier, but realistic expectations of making a podium and moving through to the next stage.
Yeah, that's the goal. It wouldn't be here if we didn't want us, so hopefully get through tonight, and I think there's 1 more to get through and then you're in, but we'll see. We'll take it tonight's meeting first and see how we get on, but that's the aim.
And a track you know well enough, of course, here in Glasgow.
Yeah, I've done I've done a season here, and they altered the track a little bit, but I had the track record when they altered the track for 1 week, so never got to keep that one, but had it for a little bit.
And on the back of practice, feeling good out there, feeling like it's not too dissimilar, I'm sure, from your time here.
Yeah, it was a while ago since I was here, and riding in Poland, it feels a fair bit different riding here. The dirt's quite a bit grippier, so it was a lot of fun out there, and looking forward to tonight. It should be a lot of good racing, and I think it'll be close.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Joined by Bradley Wilson-Dean, representing New Zealand in the World Championship qualifier this evening. And Bradley, for you, it's a rare appearance in the UK in 2021.
Yeah, I just come over about a month ago, got all set up, gone and done some practicing, and yeah, just getting ready for today really. Don't know what my plans are after this. I think I'll just be heading back to New Zealand, get set up this year for next season, and yeah, come back at the start of next year and get back into it.
Now, I'm sure that plenty of UK promoters have been trying to get hold of you to try and get you to join their team, even midway through this abridged and shortened 2021 season. But I understand it's visa issues that have stopped you from coming to the UK as far as league race, domestic racing is concerned for this season.
Yeah, so I got over here and my plan was to sort out my visa and all of that sort of thing, renew my ancestry visa. And then when I got here, they basically said, no, you can't. You have to go back to New Zealand now and sort it out there. So it was going to take about 3 months for me to go home, sort it out, and then get back. So it just weren't viable. Yeah, sort of bit of a miscommunication with a couple of people, and that's just the way it's turned out. And I'm not too bothered about it either. Not losing any sleep over not being able to race this season, because with the way things are going, clubs closing every week and meetings being put off, and it don't bother me. I get to go back to New Zealand, don't have to wear a mask, don't have to social distance, any of that sort of thing. It's just life as normal over there, and it has been for over a year now. So I get to go back home and carry on with what I was doing, playing with motorbikes for the next few months before next season. So I got no problem with that. I'll go, get everything ready here, get set up, and then get back home and get back into my motorbikes and that, and yeah.
What it does mean is it's a fair old commitment for you to be racing this evening, because it means that you've had to come early, you've had to do a quarantine, you've taken advantage of it to do some practice, and then when you get back it'll be another quarantine the other end. So just to compete in this FIM meeting, as I say, a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, it's a lot of money as well. I mean, it's just the flights alone, $3,000, and then the quarantine when I get home, another $3,000. Your licence for today, $500. It's a hell of a lot of money just to come over for one meeting, but got a lot of commitment to the sport, and aside from everything else that I do, the Speedway's my life, and it has been for the last sort of 15 years of my life. So I'll put everything into it and do what I can. I don't mind. It's good to come over. It's good to be back actually and enjoy, and even with all the COVID stuff that's going on, and makes it a bit difficult to come here and a bit difficult to be here. But I enjoy it. It's been nice to come back to the UK and see a few familiar faces. And yeah, it's nice to get back out on the bike, and I'm looking forward to a bit of solid competition tonight. It's my first time racing proper racing since the last time I was over. Back home we don't have 15 other top riders, so it's nice for me to get out with some other guys and test myself again in a tough competitive meeting. A lot of my racing at home, you almost get a bit complacent. You miss starts in that against people that you'd never miss starts against, or stuff like that, because you don't take it seriously anymore when I'm at home, and you kind of had to switch that off and start taking things a bit seriously again now that I'm here, and that's good. That's how I like my racing. I never get any excitement out of winning every race in a night. There's nothing to scream about when you're winning races by a mile. There's no fun in it. It's almost more fun to come second in a hard fought race than it is to win a race that was easy for you. So I'm looking forward to tonight. Hopefully have some good races and a few good battles and that, and try and put on a show for everyone watching at home, and everyone that's able to make it here tonight. Try and put on a bit of entertainment for them and see what we can do. Hopefully come away with some good results. And yeah, I've come a long way for this meeting, so not here just to just to make up the numbers and go out there and give it my best.
Final thought, Glasgow, the circuit this evening. One you visited before, I think, with Peterborough. What are your thoughts about the track, having seen it for practice as well?
Yeah, it was good. It's big, big sort of track, similar size to what we ride at home, and it's just a big dirt circle really. We'll have a go and see what we can do. Looking forward to it.
Well, we congratulate you on the efforts to be here, coming all the way from New Zealand, and hopefully that works out well for you in results as well.
Awesome. Cool as. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Another of the British representatives in the lineup today is Charles Wright. Charles, you were here very recently with your regular domestic league club, so recent experience of the track, and it was a good meeting for you as well.
Yeah, it was a good meeting for myself, so I skipped practice and just use same bike and same setup as last time, so you can be practicing and then you don't know which bike to use, and I just sticking with the same that I used last time. It seemed to be going good. It's the same tonight.
Speedway World Championship qualification, and clearly you've been among the sort of British contenders for one of these spots since winning the British Championship. As much as anything, put you on everyone's lips. Now, last season was a very unusual season, and I think you probably kind of made the decision that it wasn't the moment for you to try and appear in this kind of competition. But how do you feel about 2021 and starting your World Championship qualifiers?
Yeah, I was a slow start, a few problems with lack of power, but I seem to have sorted them, and I think the tyres have been a big solution behind it all with these new tyres we're running. But I finally got something that's working, and I've been picking up the points, banging them in everywhere I've gone so far, so I couldn't have come into this meeting on a higher level than riding so well at the minute.
You mentioned the tyre situation. Clearly, in the past, it's sort of Mitas that have had the almost monopoly in the market. More options becoming available over the last season or so. What's the situation with regards to tonight's meeting? What will you be running?
Just what I've been running, because obviously I found something that's working for me. So not mess my head up in using different tyres that I've not rode, and with my engine and setup now, I seem to got something working. So I'll just stick with what I've been running now. So yeah.
So that's the Anlas tyres, is it?
Yeah, that's the Anlas tyres, yeah.
Now, as for this meeting, clearly a challenging lineup. I think one of the stronger lineups in the World Championship qualifiers, certainly in the sort of preliminary phase of proceedings. How do you rate your chances of going through? Clearly, podium position is what's going to be required.
Yeah, it's top four that I get through, and that's my aim on today, and probably everybody else's aim. But I'll do my best like I always do, and see what the outcome is at the end. 5 good starts and I'm there, so yeah.
That sounds like the perfect note to end on. 5 starts. Wish you the best of luck with those.
Thank you very much.
Nikolai Klindt, you've never made a secret of your desire to be amongst the world's elite in the Speedway World Championship, and the journey begins again at the start of 2021, and it begins with a very tough opening meeting here in Glasgow.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited to be here again. It's a tough round, like you say. There's lots of good riders, informed riders too, here in England and abroad. So you gotta be focused. But yeah, I've done a lot of work to get here, not just in the previous round in Denmark, but also planning and the logistics of things to get here and have everything ready. So I feel as ready as I can be, and I'm looking forward to tonight.
Yes, it must be said that for riders who've come through from Denmark, having already had to go through one qualification event, that lineup itself is a pretty tough one, isn't it, over in Denmark?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say, but it's probably the toughest round of them all. But no, it's always tough in Denmark, and I finished second in that meeting, so I'm looking to do one better tonight.
Tell us a little about your Speedway in 2021. I know you've been racing out in Poland, some really strong results out in Poland, a couple of mixed ones in recent weeks, I think you'd agree. How do you evaluate this season so far?
Good. I started off really, really good, and actually felt loads better in the first month and a bit than I did last year, where I had a good season. Like you said, it's been a bit up and down, mostly down in the last couple of weeks, but we know the reasons for that, and we try to solve the problems, and we feel like we have done. I have a great team behind me. I'm working with loads of great guys who only want me to do as good as possible and want the best for me. So everything is sorted. Me and my mechanic have spent a week just under a week over here and get my bikes from UK in the same conditions as my European bikes and brought engines over and stuff like that. So we're 100% ready for tonight.
How about UK? I know that you had plans to be racing here more regularly than in the end has been possible. It's been extremely complicated, hasn't it, the whole COVID situation with travel as well?
Yeah, exactly, and that was one of the reasons why I decided not to race in England, which what can you say, sad about. I really want to ride in UK. I've always enjoyed riding in UK, and it's a shame that I'm not able to, but at least I'm getting here, getting the meeting in here at Glasgow. But it's the travel restrictions and also with the tests, availability of flights due to racing in Denmark. If I rode in Poland, it would be easier to fly in and out, but it's a choice I'd made, and I'm happy with it. Hopefully I'll be back again next year.
In the meanwhile, a rare opportunity for UK-based fans to see you in action this evening. I'm sure, as far as tonight's match is concerned, you'd like to make those 5 starts and make your life a little bit easier, because it's a big double-figure points total that's going to be needed to make it through, and I would suggest that making some starts is going to be key as to who does make it and who doesn't. Yeah,
exactly. All points are vital, and that was the same in the previous round in Denmark. I think I had two or three heat wins and 2 or 3 second places. No third places, heat wins and second places, and I feel good around Glasgow track. I think last time I was here I scored 19 out of 21. A little bit different type of track. It was very, very heavy, where it's slicker today, but I feel good around here, and that's important. I'm happy, I'm in good shape, and like I said, looking forward to tonight.
You've had a look at the track. I think it's been prepared possibly with a few possible rain showers in mind, and it was pretty dry through practice as well. What's your evaluation of the circuit?
Good, well prepped. It is probably on the slicker side of things. It seemed like it got a bit of more clay in it than the last time I was here, which obviously give you a bit more grip on the surface. But I think we're in for some top racing. We got loads of races here. And just because you make the start doesn't mean that you're going to win the heat, does it? So you got to be on it for 4 laps, and I think the track is going to produce some awesome racing, and it's a shame we can't have more people, but the people that's going to be here are going to enjoy it.
As always, we wish you the best of luck and hope to see you in the next stages.
Thank you.
Joined now by former world champion Chris Holder. Clearly great for UK fans to have you racing in this Speedway Grand Prix qualifier in Glasgow this evening. First of all, tell us your thoughts ahead of this meeting.
Yeah, it's it's a tough meeting. It's an important one. It's only 5 races, and you need to be in the points every time to get that top 4 spot. So that's the name of the game tonight. And yeah, just practice was good, track was good. We got decent weather, so just get out there and make it happen.
You know better than most how tough it is to just scratch those last 1 or 2 points to make it through. You were part of the Grand Prix qualification system in 2019, rode here in Glasgow and just missed out. But I think it was 1 point that you were cut adrift of qualification. So it's one of those matches where it's all up in the air, and a double-figure points total and a as close to the podium positions as possible is needed.
Yeah, for sure. I think 2019, to be honest, I just took my spot. I wasn't really looking to get back straight in the Grand Prix, so it was just come and have a crack at it, but wasn't too much effort put in. But this time round I want to get back in, so I need to obviously start off today. That's where it all starts, and you need to be double figures at least, and a few race wins of course helps, but it's going to be hard. It's not easy. All the guys here, anybody can sort of pop out and do something. So practice was good, and I'm on Jackie's staff, and that feels okay. It didn't feel too different to mine. So hopefully make a few good starts and get out in front and bank them points.
That just from a logistics perspective, the right thing to do? Yeah,
I've got no kit here, so obviously with flights and driving over and all that kind of thing, it's a little bit difficult with the the COVID thing and England being out of the EU and all that stuff. So it was just easy if I just use his stuff. So luckily he's in Gorachan tonight, so his English stuff's sitting there. So I swooped in and took it.
That's teamwork as well. As far as the World Championship is concerned, it's been a fair while now since you were last a regular in the Speedway Grand Prix, and at the very top of the sport, you're so often and so easily quickly forgotten. For yourself, how does this kind of stack in terms of importance for you now to try and get back into the World Championship, particularly after you effectively lost a season? You weren't able to take part in the qualifications last season as a result of the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. Speedway's a funny old game. You're only as good as your last race. So if you didn't go very good last one, then you get forgotten about pretty quickly. But yeah, I dropped out in 2019, I think, was the first year out of it, and I really needed it. I had a lot of stuff going on, and being in the Grand Prix, just making up the numbers, I don't want to do that. It's not what I'd want to be there for. So it was good to have that break and sort of, regroup and sort of start again. And it's literally like starting again. So we obviously got last year with the COVID, missed out on any chance to qualify, and so it's back on this year. So I want to, try and make the most of it and get through to that last one, and then, anything can happen. But, tonight, you've got to get through tonight first, so we'll see.
And how has 2021 been to you? I think on the evidence of what I've seen in the Extra League, I think you'd agree that it's been a little bit up and down, maybe not quite as prolific as you would have hoped for Toruń in the top flight in Poland.
Yeah, it has. It really has. I started off, pretty decent and felt pretty good, and I've had all new engines from a new tuner, and it seems to be like everything that I used to know doesn't work on this set. It's like so confusing. So just trying to sort that out, and you don't get much of it. You turn up, race, and if it don't work, it don't work, So we've done plenty of practice and messed around and just trying to find what I'm happy with. I'm not really being totally satisfied out there, but I know I can do it. I just give me something good underneath me, and that's all I want. But everybody wants the same thing. So hopefully, have a good one tonight and get going from there.
We know how tough and cutthroat it is racing out in Poland. Does having your brother alongside you bring a little bit more of a relaxed feel to racing out there?
Yeah, I suppose a little bit, have family close by, but to be honest, it's an individual sport, isn't it? So, if he's doing good and I'm not, or the other way around, it doesn't help yourself, You need to just dig it deep and get it out of your team and just try and work with the tuners and get what you're looking for. And especially Poland, it's so cutthroat, man, and every track's flat out, and if it don't work, you look very ordinary. And I look very ordinary the last couple of meetings, and I've watched them back and I just shake my head, but I want to obviously do a lot better than that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us ahead of this important meeting, and we wish you all the best of luck.
Cheers, thank you very much.
So after the COVID-19 pandemic cut short the 2020 qualifiers and postponed the preliminary stages from a month ago in 2021, we're finally onto track for Heat 1 here at Glasgow. 4 places up for grabs tonight at the Speedway Grand Prix Challenge, which will take place in Żarnowice in Slovakia, incidentally the original planned venue for the 2020 Challenge before it was moved to Croatia under restricted crowds. The usual format here, 16 riders with 5 rides apiece, runoffs if required to split qualifiers, but otherwise it's a straightforward 20 races. As always, 12 points likely to be enough to qualify, double-figure score though, usually the bare minimum. Heat number 1 then, and a first appearance of the night for Great Britain's Lewis Kerr, 31 years of age, a late starter in the sport, only made his debut in 2010 after a switch from motocross. Alongside him off gate 2 in blue, it's Stephen Gorey, the 19-year-old from Marmande in France, makes his debut in the Grand Prix qualifiers. Gate 3 in white, Brock Nicol, his 3rd appearance in the qualifiers. He's one of 3 riders in today's lineup who also rode in the qualifier here back in 2019, picked up 9 points on that occasion, only narrowly failed to make it, so he's one of the men to watch. And off the outside gate for this Heat 1, it's Bradley Wilson-Dean, who makes his return to UK racing for the first time since suffering a shoulder injury that cut short his 2019 season. Wilson-Dean had surgery to that injury in February of last year, and the 6-month recovery time meant he missed the entirety of the European season. So he's got some catching up to do. He's come over to the UK from New Zealand, especially for this meeting. Heat number 1 then, the starting marshal, keen to get them into position. Nicol the last to settle. It's Kerr, Gorey, Nicol and Wilson-Dean. And before they even get underway, Wilson-Dean, nervous before the tapes rose, has gone straight into them. And that's going to be a pretty straightforward disqualification as well for Bradley Wilson-Dean in heat number 1. I was just saying he'd really made an effort to come all the way from New Zealand, especially for this meeting, to try and press his case, both for a place back in Europe in the future, but more specifically in 2021, searching to become New Zealand's first ever Speedway Grand Prix regular. And he's gone straight into the tapes and will miss the restaging, and his opening ride will feature a non-score. That really leaves Bradley Wilson-Dean with an awful lot of work to do in his remaining 4 outings. Straightforward one that, the tapes not even moving before Bradley Wilson-Dean was off gate number 4. He's straight into them, and that results in his disqualification from heat number 1. Well, one man's loss is another's gain, and it's an early opportunity for Tom Brennan to come in as the meeting reserve, the number 17. 19-year-old from Wiltshire races for Eastbourne, with whom he made his league debut aged just 15 back in 2016. Brennan working his way through the youth ranks at present, a former European under-19 finalist. He made the under-21 finals at Gdansk in Poland last year. Brennan very unfortunate with injury during his career, suffered a triple break of his leg in 2019 that somewhat hampered his progress, and then lost out on riding in even a very limited 2020 season with a broken collarbone. But this a real opportunity for him to show what he can do on the world stage. So we've got a revised lineup for heat number 1 after the disqualification of Bradley Wilson-Dean. Still Lewis Kerr off gate 1, Stephen Gorey off gate 2 and Brock Nicol off gate 3. It is Tom Brennan who completes the lineup off the outside gate in yellow. Another story ahead of this one. Heat number 1, Lewis Kerr riding with the number 1 on his back, making his comeback from a broken collarbone he sustained in an SGB Championship fixture at Eastbourne just a fortnight ago. Yet another remarkable turnaround from injury, really, for Lewis Kerr, who was left in a coma by a crash at Peterborough in 2015, broke both legs whilst riding for Glasgow in 2018, and few would begrudge him a clean run and some real success, having shown such determination during his Speedway career. Lewis Kerr, one of 5 British riders nominated for action today. Robert Lambert rides in Gorinchem, Adam Ellis in Terenzano, and 3 here in Glasgow, as well as those meeting reserves. Tom Brennan called into service as early as the opening race of the day. He goes off the outside gate in yellow. So 2 Brits now, gates 1 and 4. Between them, Stephen Gorey off gate 2 and Brock Nicol in white off gate 3. The starting marshal moves away, and for the second time of asking, the tapes go up, but it's a ragged start movement before they rose. Brock Nicol looks to have penalised himself. The meeting referee allowing the race to continue. It's allowed. Britain 1 and 2, they're streaking away. Lewis Kerr up front, pursued by Tom Brennan, who looks slightly faster than him actually in the early stages. Just a bike length between them now as they come into lap number 2. Stephen Gorey was well and truly flummoxed by that chaotic start, and I rather anticipate that the young Frenchman expected that race to be called back. To be perfectly honest, so did I. The peak of his helmet in the tapes, moving before they rose, and he looks set to score a single point here, back in 3rd position. Is beginning to make some ground on Tom Brennan, but I'm not sure he's going to get there quickly enough. The meeting reserve is going to score 2 points in the opening race of the day, and in fact Brennan really showing himself up extremely well in this competition. He's all over the back of regular Eastbourne teammate and rival and fellow countryman for the night, Lewis Kerr. It is going to be Kerr who takes the checkered flag, though, ahead of Brennan, only narrowly up front. The closest fight out at the back, Brock Nicol, well and truly left stranded by his own error of judgment there before the tapes rose on heat number 1. So 2 attempts at the start of heat 1 and 2 scrappy starts as well. Nicol, somewhat penalising himself, was left with a lot of work to do compared to the top 2, but certainly gained compared to Stephen Gorey, who was left for dead around the first 2 turns and could make no impression from there. So good start for the British representatives, with Lewis Kerr taking the 3 race points and Tom Brennan home for 2nd position. That's not bad at all, considering that he's come in at late notice there as the meeting reserve, coming in to substitute for Bradley Wilson-Dean. There's the movement again. Might have fancied that Brock Nicol even touched the tapes with his bike as well, which could have resulted in a disqualification, but the referee allows the race to go, and they'll be debating that one for some time to come. But what it does mean is that the race was allowed to continue. A perfect start for Lewis Kerr. 3 points in the bag for him. Kerr victorious then, ahead of Tom Brennan in 2nd. Single point for 3rd, going the way of the perhaps somewhat fortunate Brock Nicol. Stephen Gorey, unfortunate by contrast, stranded out at the back, and he fails to score. The opening race then won by Great Britain's Lewis Kerr, and aiming to emulate him off the same starting position here is his fellow countryman Charles Wright. British champion, of course, in what was a breakthrough 2019 season for him. He earned the wild card at Cardiff and came away with 5 points. He made his debut in the Grand Prix qualifiers. Domestically, he was a cup winner with Redcar. Would suggest the pandemic halted his progress somewhat. He elected not to ride or defend his national championship in 2020. But he's back with Redcar in 2021. Glasgow Tiger of 2012, of course, before track alterations here, but he is one of the more recent visitors to the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium. Picked up 14 from 6 rides here last Friday for Redcar. Again, the chief antagonist as far as Tiger's fans were concerned when he conceded just 2 points from 6 rides at home to Glasgow last weekend. Wright goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. Alongside him in the blue helmet colour, it's Nikolai Klindt, 32 years of age, making what's a rare appearance in the UK for him in 2021. He was due to line up for Ipswich this season, as he was last year before the pandemic. Travel complications and costs forcing him to withdraw. Gate 3 in white for this Heat 2, it's Luke Becker. Comes into this meeting in the best possible form, registered 4 race victories in a brilliant 15-point score at Peterborough on Monday, racing for the Wolverhampton Wolves on the UK domestic scene as he did in 2019. And another familiar face to British fans is Tero Arnio. He's been riding regularly in the UK since 2008, somewhat of a journeyman, predominantly with northerly clubs. He was a Glasgow rider back in 2014, but he's best known for his time with Scunthorpe, with whom he won the league title in 2012 and who he currently represents on these shores. 8th place here at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium in the 2019 qualifier, Tero Arnio, his best effort yet in 4 previous attempts at the preliminary stages. Heat number 2 then, Charles Wright, Nikolai Klindt, Luke Becker and Tero Arnio. Let's hope for a smoother start this time around. Heat number 2 does get away cleanly, and it's a good jump off gate number 3 in the white helmet colour from Luke Becker, but powering to the first bend first is Nikolai Klindt. Becker then off in hot pursuit. Charles Wright conservative in the early stages, down in 3rd position. See if he can creep round the inside on the top turn and get alongside Luke Becker. Not quite. At the end of the opening lap, it's the American who holds firm, but Becker does look somewhat wayward and out of shape, and Charles Wright attempting to ride the inside line to capitalise on that. The American now locks it back to the curb. He's slipping away from the race leader Nikolai Klindt and in towards the clutches of Charles Wright. The battle here is for second place. Wright getting his front wheel right up on the white line as they came into turn 1 around the pits bend, though not quite able to get on terms. And now Wright locks it up around 3 and 4, and I think that settles this one. Well adrift out at the back is Tero Arnio. Disappointing start for the Finn, but no such problems out in front for Nikolai Klindt. Looking good here in what is his first appearance in the Grand Prix qualifiers since 2014. He's victorious in his opening outing. Heat number 2 goes the way of Klindt. Second over the line is Luke Becker. And the single point in third for Charles Wright. So Lewis Kerr able to win off gate number 1 in the opening race of the day. It certainly wasn't the starting position that proved advantageous. Beautiful track from Nikolai Klindt off gate number 2. I would suggest that Becker's jump was perhaps slightly better than Klindt, but the number 7 powering to the first turn first, and he certainly never looked back from there. Did have a doubt as to whether Luke Becker was going to be able to hold on for that second place. He was all out of shape and somewhat out of control on the opening 2 laps in particular, but once Becker settled it back down to the inside line, he had plenty enough to hold off the challenges and attentions of Charles Wright. So a straightforward race once again in the opening round here this evening. This time it's a victory from the traps and from the tapes off gate number 2. Second place for 2 points to Luke Becker. Single consolation point in third for Charles Wright, with Tero Arnio well adrift out at the back. 2 races gone and 2 pretty straightforward ones. Gating so far has been essential in Glasgow tonight. Heat 3 now, and a first appearance of the meeting for Chris Holder, the 2012 World Champion, and I would argue the biggest name in today's field, a veteran of 94 Grand Prix appearances, including 5 wins. He was eliminated from the series after finishing just 12th in 2018. He failed to make it past the preliminary qualifier in 2019 here in Glasgow, missed out by just a point in 5th. Looking to go one better than at minimum here today, Chris Holder. He goes in the blue helmet colour for this one, heat number 3. On the inside of him, eager and already up at the line, is Eric Riss of Germany, the 2014 and 2016 long track world champion. Gate 3 in white, we're waiting for Tobias Musielak, currently the number 1 rider in Poland's 2nd division. He was sent out on loan to Krosno by Toruń after they overlooked him in favour of Adrian Mijinski, and it's the Wolves and Musielak himself who have benefited. Really has been in excellent form. The other rider we're waiting for up at tapes, going off the outside gate in the yellow helmet colour, is Dan Bewley, Britain's young hope for the future, turned 22 last month. He was the British Under-21 champion in 2020, went on to finish 4th in the World Championship. This his 3rd attempt now at the Grand Prix qualifiers. His previous efforts in 2018 and 2019 ended at the preliminary stage. Bewley, though, fresh from European Championship duty on Wednesday. He certainly made some headlines, a brilliant 3rd place at Bydgoszcz. Remember, the winner of that series will be awarded a place in the 2022 World Championship, so there is another route for Bewley should today's meeting not go his way. But he'll be looking for a big score here at a venue he knows well. He goes off the outside gate. Heat number 3 then, Eric Riss, Chris Holder, Tobias Musielak and Dan Bewley are underway. Fine start off gate number 3 from Musielak. Eric Riss shows alongside him, but it is the pole who hits the front. Down the back straight they come, with Chris Holder forced to scrap hard in the early stages. 2 pre-race favourites arguably are the 2 men stuck out at the back. Holder will now cut back to the inside at the start of lap 2 to drill a move incisively down the inside of Eric Riss, and the German beginning to tumble backwards because he's now falling into the clutches of Dan Bewley. Bewley, who favours an outside run in general, reaching deep around the dirt around turn 3, chops back to the inside and replicates Chris Holder's move, exactly identical to what the Australian had done a lap before, and comes through up the inside of Eric Riss to move into 3rd place. Riss battling back now on the inside. Bewley can't afford to be complacent in 3rd position. It does look now as though he's got clear and he can begin to stretch his legs. This race starting to settle down, although Bewley then gets out of shape coming off the pits turn, and Riss isn't too far adrift. He's going to be close coming off turn 4 for the final time, but the race positions remain unchanged. It's Musielak from start to finish there, and 2 riders coming past Eric Riss, who made a decent enough jump off the inside but was outgunned comprehensively by Chris Holder in blue and Dan Bewley in yellow, coming through for 2nd and 3rd positions respectively. Perfect start then for Tobias Musielak, who's through to the Polish final in July, finished 2nd in the semi-final 10 days ago at his current home track of Krosno, and just keeping up his consistency is all he can hope for in 2021. That'll give him the best possible chance of qualifying through to the Speedway World Championship, of course, for next season. Really is in a rich vein of form at present, Tobias Musielak. And as you can see, he's well supported by the Polish fans who've done well to get in, given the limited attendance here at Glasgow tonight. Musielak victorious in heat number 3, ahead of Chris Holder, who battles his way through forcefully on Dan Bewley around the first 2 turns, and then by the end of the opening lap on Eric Riss for 2nd. Dan Bewley completes the scorers in 3rd. Now on to heat 4, and a warm welcome back to the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium for Rasmus Jensen. Still a popular man in these parts. He averaged 9 points per meeting for Glasgow in 2019. His international ambitions were cited as the reason he parted ways with the club. They're also the reason he is back tonight. The white helmet colour there is Jamin Lidsey, 2nd reserve for the 2021 Speedway World Championship. He was nominated by the FIM after claiming the 2020 Under-21 World Championship in a one-off final in Pardubice last October. Into line alongside him there in the blue helmet colour is Lasse Fredriksson, the 2018 Norwegian champion, a regular in Sweden and Denmark, with the speedway scene in his homeland, of course, so limited. That also means, though, that he's had plenty of opportunities in FIM competition. This is 4th crack at the qualifiers. His first was here in the UK in front of our cameras at Kings Lynn in 2016. Rasmus Jensen now into line. He'll go off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. Races for his hometown club Holsted in the Danish League, also for Gdansk in the 2nd division of Polish Speedway. And the man we're waiting for up at the tapes is Max Rummel, who's due to go in the yellow helmet colour. On the inside of him will be Jamin Lidsey in white, who races for Leszno in the Polish Ekstraliga. Lidsey pretty inconsistent in 2021, but he was a match winner for the Bulls in their home clash with Czestochowa last weekend. Timer ticking down, so this is going to be something of a rush for Max Rummel, but he is now out onto the circuit. 3 times USA Under-21 champion. He's now 24 years of age. He was the winner of the American final with a maximum in December, and that the AMA's qualification event to earn his passage to this stage. Straight into line and straight underway with heat number 4 as we come to the end of the 2-minute time allowance. Jensen, Fredriksson, Lidsey and Max Rummel are underway. Brilliant start once again from gate number 3, and this time it's Jamin Lidsey who occupies it, and Lidsey's first to the dirt around the middle of the circuit on turns 1 and 2 to hit the front. Rasmus Jensen will try to answer back. He's got a decent line coming off turn 2, less than a bike length between them. 2 fights in 1. Out at the back, Lasse Fredriksson comes up the inside of Max Rummel and catches the American by surprise, moves across his path coming off the pits turn to consolidate 3rd position. Good effort on the opening 2 laps for the unfancied Norwegian Lasse Fredriksson. Up at the head of the field, Jensen drills a move down the inside of Jamin Lidsey, who left the door wide open. Lidsey, though, with the cutback coming off the pits bend, recovers the lead, and they come into turn 3 with Jensen building up his speed even wider this time around. Again, the cutback from Jensen. Brilliant ride, that one, as Jensen comes through again down the inside into turn number 1. So that's a lap and a half now. They've been swapping and changing, but it's Jensen who's now going to try and consolidate that advantage as they come towards the checkered flag. Jensen holds on. It is close against Jamin Lidsey, And it's Lasse Fredriksson who collects the single point in third. Disappointment for Max Rummel, who came to grief in the closing stages whilst trying to get back on terms with Lasse Fredriksson. But it doesn't affect the result up front. Fine race that. Best action of the night so far. The track finally starting to come to the riders after the opening 3 races that have been a pretty sedate affair, it must be said. That one anything but. That's certainly a race that would grace any event at the world's elite level. Rasmus Jensen finding his way through on Jamin Lidzi with a switch back to the inside line coming off at turn number 4. Lidzi then repaying the compliments up the inside. Super Speedway, and it's Rasmus Jensen who picks up the 3 points and the biggest reward and the biggest cheer so far tonight from the Glasgow fans as well. They're pleased to see one of their former heroes returning this evening, and even more pleased, no doubt, to see him pick up 3 race points. Second place for 2, Jamin Lidzi. Single point in third goes the way of Lasse Fredriksson, and Max Rummel falling on the final lap there, therefore fails to score. Entertaining speedway in heat number 4 whets our appetite for what's still to come at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium tonight. Rasmus Jensen making his move on more than one occasion, but eventually consolidating first place for an opening race victory. Four races gone. Lewis Kerr, Nikolai Klindt, Tobias Muslak and Rasmus Jensen all race winners. Luke Becker, Chris Holder, Jamin Lidzi and Tom Brennan with 2 points apiece. The biggest surprises further back down the order, perhaps Charles Wright and Dan Bewley being left with plenty of work to do. On to the second round of races, and we immediately have a matchup between 2 previous heat winners, Lewis Kerr and Tobias Muslak. Muslak there in the yellow helmet colour. Man from Lejno making his debut in the Grand Prix qualifiers tonight. You wouldn't have believed it the way he powered away in his opening outing. Was an under-21 world finalist in his youth career. Won gold with Poland in the 2012 under-21 Team World Championship. This is his first appearance in the Grand Prix qualifiers, and he's making best use of it so far. Impressive victory for him first time out. Rider we're waiting for again up at the tapes is Max Rummel, who'll go in red. Made his debut in domestic speedway here in Scotland with the Edinburgh Monarchs back in 2018. Unfortunately, didn't last the season before losing his team place, but he went back to the US, finished second in the US Nationals at Costa Mesa Speedway, and since he's been building up towards a return to Europe, certainly wants to show what he is able to do tonight. Alongside him, off gate number 2 in the blue helmet colour, it's Lewis Kerr, winner of heat number 1. Gate 3 in white, it's Charles Wright. He'll be disappointed, showed a lack of speed in his opening outing, coming home in third behind Nikolai Klindt and Luke Becker. And off the outside gate in yellow, Tobias Muslak, who's got to start as the pre-race favourite, given the way he powered away in his opening outing, and leaving Eric Rees and then Chris Holder and Dan Bewley, who battled through to try and challenge, well and truly in his dust. Max Rummel, by contrast, with plenty of work to do, fell in his opening ride, trying to chase down Lasse Fredriksson. That was a bit of a surprise. Rummel will be looking for much better here. It's Rummel, Kerr, Wright and Muslak. Watch for the riders off gates 2 and 4 in particular, winners from their opening rides. And it is those 2 that have made the best starts. Muslak manages to get across the front of Charles Wright, but Lewis Kerr still alongside him as they come down the back straight. Muslak aggressive across the path of Lewis Kerr. Kerr locks it up and Charles Wright goes down in avoiding action. And Charles Wright raises his right hand, waiting for this race to be stopped, but the referee seems to be keen to allow things to continue. Charles Wright moves away from the circuit, but without too much haste, and eventually the red lights have to come on, and Charles Wright has rather forced that stoppage with Muslak and Kerr battling up at the front of the field, and it looked to me as though Lewis Kerr locked up somewhat around turns 3 and 4. Charles Wright making avoiding action, but he has been disqualified. The white disqualification light has come on just in front of the main grandstand on the start-finish straight, and Charles Wright can hardly believe it, shaking his head in frustration. I suspect that he may well gesture up towards the referee's box now as he makes his way past it and down the start-finish straight. There is the disqualification light, and Charles Wright may well argue against that disqualification, but it's not going to come to a great deal, unfortunately. He is ruled out of the restaging, and that means that Charles Wright, former British champion of course, has scored just 1 point from his opening 2 rides, and really is going to need a massive turnaround in his remaining 3 outings tonight if he's to make it through to the Grand Prix Challenge. Second opportunity to look at that incident on the top turn. Early on it was all about the race for top spot. Tobias Muslak getting around the outside of Lewis Kerr, carrying his momentum past him, locks up somewhat. Lewis Kerr locks up ever so slightly as well, and Charles Wright does make avoiding action. And unfortunately for Charles Wright, wrong place at the wrong time. and he finds himself disqualified from the restaging. So it's 3 riders only then for the second time of asking for this one, heat number 5. It'll be Max Rummel in red, Lewis Kerr in blue, and Tobias Muselak in yellow, the 3 remaining riders. Well, that disqualification means that this man, Max Rummel, is guaranteed his first point of the meeting as long as he finishes this one, heat number 5. But he'll be looking for a better start this time around. He's got that inside starting position. If he can get there level with them, gives himself a much better chance of really being competitive in his second ride after he sat third in the early stages of his opening outing, heat number 4, before being picked off by Lasse Fredriksson. 2 favourites for this one were already the 2 men off gates 2 and 4 who were victorious in their opening outings. They'll be even more the favourites now with no Charles Wright between them to try and contest that first turn. Wright was out-muscled on the way towards turn number 1 by Tobias Muselak, but Lewis Kerr was doing a good job. He was right in there at the time of the stoppage. Kerr, a former Glasgow rider, these days representing Kings Lynn in domestic speedway. The Stars, his hometown club. And Lewis Kerr represented Team Great Britain in a rare test match against Denmark at his home track of Kings Lynn late in 2019. He said it gave him the taste of international speedway, and I'm sure he'd be keen to test himself in the Grand Prix Challenge. He has ridden in the qualifiers before, but only as a meeting reserve at Kings Lynn in 2016. Winner first time out then, Lewis Kerr off gate 2 and Tobias Muselak off the outside. Muselak's made an even better start this time around, but he carries himself wider. Still trying to move across his path. Coming off turn number 2 was Lewis Kerr, and Muselak was irrepressible and hits the front down the back straight, and this time he's got a clear margin by the end of the opening lap. Lewis Kerr looking down at his machine. I wonder whether he may have some mechanical problems here, because he doesn't look at all comfortable, and he was right on terms with Muselak in the initial running. Not so this time around. Half race distance, if Kerr is nursing mechanical problems, he's doing it well enough for the moment at least, because Max Rummel is stranded well and truly out at the back, and the 3 positions have settled down because Muselak is now the length of a straight clear of Max Rummel in last position, and Lewis Kerr equidistant between the 2 of them up in second position. Muselak running really wide there around turns 1 and 2. Well, he's certainly enjoying the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium so far, isn't he? Making it 2 wins out of 2. Poland's Tobias Muselak wins heat number 5 ahead of Lewis Kerr. First defeat in his second ride for Kerr, but still 5 points from 2 rides, and he'll be more than satisfied with that. Single point in third going the way of Max Rummel. As I said, first point on the board means that he and Charles Wright now sit level on a point apiece. I don't think qualification was a realistic target or aspiration for Max Rummel. He would have been thinking about putting his name out there for a place potentially back in British Speedway in the future. Hasn't really been able to do that in his opening 2 rides, but still 3 more to come. Tobias Muselak, 2 wins out of 2. As I said at the time, made an even better start, if anything, this time around, but his momentum carried him past turn 1 somewhat, and that gave the impetus to Lewis Kerr, and Kerr thought about trying to block the run. If anything, that didn't work for him. He might have been better off going for the shorter route around turns 1 and 2 and try to out-drag Muselak into turn 3, because this time Muselak had the momentum, was clear coming off the second bend, and then powered away by the end of the opening lap, managing his advantage from there. Muselak then makes it 2 wins out of 2 and sits clear on 6 points. Lewis Kerr, second place, moves him on to 5. And as I said, Max Rummel and Charles Wright already look to be dropping out of the running here in Glasgow. Heat 6 next up, and something of a low scorers race this one, set to be contested by 4 riders who scored just 3 points between them first time out. Eric Riss in particular will expect more here after failing to score in heat number 3. On the inside of the German is Lasse Fredriksson, creditable 3rd place for him first time out ahead of Max Rummel. Gate 2 Riss failed to score, but it was in a competitive opening ride against Muselak, Holder and Bewley. His frustration will be that he rather went backwards in that opening outing. Stephen Gorey goes off gate 3 in white. He failed to score in heat 1, but it was a ragged start to the race that arguably should have been called back. And Luke Becker, just turning away from the start line now, goes in the yellow helmet colour to complete the lineup for this one, heat number 6. He's the best placed of this quartet after his opening ride, scored 2nd place in heat number 2. Becker, who made his name on the international scene, aged just 18 at the 2017 Speedway World Cup, scored the USA's only race victory of the race-off in Legno in his final outing. He was back in the 3-man squad for the 2019 Speedway of Nations, and no doubt among the front-runners for selection by the authorities, the American authorities, in 2021. An under-21 world finalist in 2020, Luke Becker, making his 2nd appearance in the Grand Prix qualifiers. He was 10th in La Motte-Landeran in 2019. Starting marshal settling them in then. 3 of these 4 riders in desperate need of points. Fredriksson, Riss and Gorry off the inside 3 starting positions. Watch for Becker off gate number 4. It's Riss who's made the best start off gate 2. He comes across the path of Lasse Fredriksson. The pair clash in the run down to turn number 1. Fredriksson now is off in hot pursuit. Becker's slotted between the 2 of them. Luke Becker looks the inside. Oh, big moment there for Luke Becker, and Riss manages to charge his way back through. Brilliant piece of speedway there by Erik Riss, reacting to Luke Becker's error and managing to cut back and drill his move back through at the end of the opening lap. Riss looking much more competitive in his second outing. Becker once again wayward on the opening lap, but remember he was able to consolidate things as his opening ride went on and took second. Has he got enough in hand over Erik Riss here to find his way through to the front? Becker charging hard around the outside on 3 and 4. Riss is going to have eyes in the back of his head, and he does. They come in towards the final lap. Riss has sandwiched him up against the safety fence. Becker now will go for the cutback. Riss has left the door open, but Becker gets some lift, and Riss is able to cover it in towards turn number 3. Good race up front, despite the fact that there was barely passing between them. Riss just about holding on. Becker coming on strong again in the latter stages there. Had it not been for that lift down the back straight for the final time, Luke Becker may well have found his way through to the front. It's been a good start to this meeting for the American Luke Becker. 2 second places for him, but a mistake there coming off turn number 4 on the opening lap, and then that later bit of lift. Becker perhaps just a little bit too eager to find his way through to the front in heat 6, and it was the calmer ride of Erik Riss that saw him home for the 3 race points. Here's that big moment again from Luke Becker. Becker doing oh so well to save this and not go through the safety fence on the start-finish straight. That would have been nasty. Tried to chop back in, but Riss was already there. The pair clashed, and that was after Riss had already had Lasse Fredriksson up the back of him in the early stages. So pretty dramatic 6th race of the day, but Erik Riss steers clear of it all and takes the 3 race points. His first points of the meeting and his first win as well in heat number 6. 2 points for Luke Becker again. A second place moves him on to 4, and credit to Lasse Fredriksson for a solid start. He moves on to 2. Heat 7 sees a match-up between opening ride winners Nikolai Klindt and Rasmus Jensen in a Danish duel. And throw into the mix former world champion Chris Holder. This one should be a good one. Holder's got the inside gate in the red helmet colour. Second place for him at first time out, but no disgrace. Tobias Mujlak has looked good in his opening rides. Beat Holder in heat number 3. Gate 2 in blue, it's Rasmus Jensen, winner first time out in heat number 4. Nikolai Klindt in white was the winner of heat 2. And off the outside gate in the yellow helmet colour here, it's Brock Nickel. And with the greatest of respect, Nickel, who finished 3rd first time out, would do very well indeed to pick up anything from this calibre of lineup, heat number 7. Holder off the inside gate then in the red helmet colour, not really in the best of form at present. Managed only 4 points for Torun at home to Wroclaw in the latest round of the Polish Extraliga. Somewhat bizarrely, Holder's route back towards the Grand Prix series started all the way back in January of 2020. The top 5 from that Australian Championship nominated for the 2021 qualifiers, because the 2021 Australian Championship was postponed from this January to dates at the end of this year as a result of the pandemic. So it's a long road back to the Speedway World Championship once you're eliminated, as Chris Holder knows well. He was runner-up in the 2009 Grand Prix Challenge to earn his first season in the top flight in 2010, but he's been out of the running since the end, as I said previously, of 2018. So we settle into line then. Big match-up, particularly between the 3 riders off the 3 inside gates. Chris Holder, as well as Rasmus Jensen and Nikolai Klindt, 2 previous heat winners off gates 2 and 3. Little bit of movement there before the tapes rose, I fancy, from Rasmus Jensen, but he's managed to get away with it. It's Jensen who hits the first turn first. Holder now through, coming off the pits bend, and Nikolai Klindt's going to try and follow the Australian around the inside line as they come through turns 3 and 4. Jensen battles back for second place. Nickel isn't too far adrift either. The American now switches to the inside line to see if he can catch Nikolai Klindt by surprise, but Klindt is pressuring hard down the inside now of Rasmus Jensen again around turn 3 and 4, and Jensen has left the door open, and this time Klindt is alongside and manages to force Jensen out of the way as they come back around turns 1 and 2. Klindt had his front wheel up over the grass there at turn 1. Jensen then with the cutback has the better line, I fancy, coming round turns 1 and 2. A little bit of lift though coming off 4, and Klindt claims the impetus once again. Well, I said it was going to be a Danish duel, but I might have expected that was for the race victory after these two won their opening outings. They're fighting for second place as if their lives depended on it. Big error there coming off turn 2 from Nikolai Klindt, and that's given second place to Rasmus Jensen. Excellent Speedway once again, this time in heat number 7, and Chris Holder was clear of it all. And when he gets the chance to watch it back, he won't quite believe the action that was going on behind him. You will rarely see a better Speedway for second place than we saw there. Rasmus Jensen and Nikolai Klindt swapping and changing in the end. It was an error from Nikolai Klindt coming off turn 2 on the final lap that cost him that second place, and he'll be disappointed about that because it does mean that he drops behind both Chris Holder and Rasmus Jensen in the provisional standing. Still a long way to go, 3 more races for each of the riders that we saw there. But if the racing continues to be as hot as it was there in Heat 7, we are in for a mighty special conclusion to this night. There's the big handful from Nikolai Klindt. Actually does well to save it on the outside line coming off turn number 2. But that gives second place to Rasmus Jensen, and very gratefully received indeed. The winner of heat number 4 comes home second in heat 7 to Chris Holder, who banks his first race victory of the night. Holder and Jensen then move on to 5 points apiece. Nikolai Klindt relegated to third on the final lap, but a close run thing between the top 3 throughout, and all remain in contention for possible qualification. Next up, Heat 8, the 4 riders for this one on just 3 points between them after their opening outings. Riders on the outside gates in particular the favourites, because Bradley Wilson-Dean and Teruanio off the inside are yet to score. It's Wilson-Dean off gate number 1, the 4 times New Zealand champion, now 26 years of age. He's ridden in the preliminary stages of the Grand Prix qualifiers on 3 occasions without making it any further. His last effort at Slanger Up in 2018 saw him crash out of his second ride. Hasn't had the best of fortune so far, of course, touched the tapes before they went up in heat number 1, so he's yet to complete a lap. Gate 2 in blue here, it's Teruanio, the oldest rider in tonight's field at 37 years of age, but he and Timo Lahti are Finland's only real international riders at present. Arnio ended Lahti's run of 5 consecutive Finnish titles by becoming national champion for the first time in 2020. Very much in contention, you'd fancy, for qualification. The 2 men off the 2 outside gates. In white here, it is Dan Bewley. He came in third behind Tobias Muslak and Chris Holder in heat number 3. Needs to make a better start this time around. And off the outside gate in yellow, it is Jamin Lidzi. Had a brilliant battle with Rasmus Jensen up at the front of the field in heat number 4 before coming up second best. So Lidzi, with 2 points on the board, is the highest scorer of this quartet thus far. Teruanio, the last rider into position, squeezed right over towards Bradley Wilson-Dean on the very inside of the circuit. Not much wriggle room for the 2 of them. Tapes up. Decent jump from Arnio. It is Teruanio who is the first to show. Bradley Wilson-Dean up there in second place. So much for the favourites being the 2 men off the outside start positions. Wilson-Dean now comes through on the inside of Arnio. Arnio tries to come around the outside of him. Watch for Lidzi. Lidzi catching them completely by surprise. They were 3 abreast down the start-finish straight, and Jamin Lidzi has gone from third to first. Arnio battling back around the outside. Locks up though, coming off the pits bend. Wilson-Dean pops back into second place. Oh, big lock up there for Wilson-Dean. Oh, a nasty crash between him and Teruanio. And Arnio has gone down with some force and lays motionless on the circuit for the moment at least. And that is a sign of immediate concern. The paramedics have rushed straight over, and the paramedic who is with Teruanio has immediately called for the ambulance. A nasty pile up there. Bradley Wilson-Dean thundered past Teruanio going into the top turn. Midway around 3 and 4, pulls a real locker, and Arnio has nowhere to go but to go straight up the back of him. Can't avoid Wilson-Dean, and unfortunately that does mean that both riders go down and the race is brought to a premature stoppage. Bradley Wilson-Dean then making his way away from the scene of the incident. Thankfully he was able to get pretty much straight back up to his feet, though he does look somewhat the worse for wear, as he and his machine, as well as that of Teruanio, are given a lift back towards the pits. It remains to be seen whether Bradley Wilson-Dean will be fit enough to take his place in the restaging. He will be invited back for it. It's Teruanio who's been disqualified, and I must admit I'm somewhat surprised about that, because Wilson-Dean it was who pulled a big locker right in front of the Finn, who had nowhere to go. You can see the blue disqualification light on there for Teruanio, but at the moment the main concern is for the well-being of the 37-year-old veteran Teruanio, who went down with some real force there. and the paramedic straight on the scene, immediately calling for the ambulance. We hope that's only a precautionary measure and that everything turns out to be okay for Tero Aarnio. But the fact that he's been taken away from the circuit in an ambulance rather suggests that we won't see much more of him tonight, and he is pretty much out of the running for qualification anyway after a failure to score in his opening ride and a disqualification there. We're going to see the incident again, and look away if you're squeamish, because it was a nasty one. Wilson Dean locking up midway around 3 and 4. Aarnio, who had the grip run, who had the speed, carried that speed straight through Bradley Wilson Dean and on towards the safety fence. So the restaging will take place without the disqualified Tero Aarnio, and I can confirm that Bradley Wilson Dean is also withdrawn from the restaging. So Wilson Dean will be replaced by a reserve rider here, and it will be Drew Kemp who completes the field, because of course Tom Brennan took the first reserve ride back in heat number 1 for Bradley Wilson Dean's tapes offence. So a first ride of the night for Great Britain's Drew Kemp, the reserve rider who will come in for Bradley Wilson Dean in the red helmet colour, and it will be a 3-rider restaging after the disqualification of Tero Aarnio. So there is Drew Kemp just coming into line off the inside gate in red. Just 18 years of age, and very much one of the top riders, at least for his age group at present. British under-19 champion in both 2019 and 2020. He scored a maximum at the European under-19 pairs for Great Britain a fortnight ago, helping Team GB to bronze alongside Anders Rowe and Dan Gilks. And he was 7th in last September's British Championship at senior level, ahead of the likes of Lewis Kerr and Tom Brennan. So a rider of some pedigree, like fellow meeting reserve Tom Brennan. He rides for Eastbourne in the SGB Championship. No rider off gate number 2 after the disqualification of Tero Aarnio. So the pre-race favourites, Dan Bewley and Jamin Lidsey, have a second chance here, because Bewley was somewhat stranded out at the back in the initial running. Lidsey hadn't made a good start either, but had managed to cut his way through to the front of the field. Bewley then needs a better start at the second time of asking. We get underway with heat number 8, and Bewley has made a better start at the second time of asking, and it's Drew Kemp who's out with him. It's Drew Kemp, in fact, who hits the front down the back straight, and this is a real surprise. It's Drew Kemp who leads in the early stages. He goes square on turns 3 and 4, somewhat holds up Dan Bewley. That's given the inside line of momentum to Jamin Lidsey, and Lidsey once again is going to go from 3rd to 1st. This is brilliant riding from Jamin Lidsey, who leads it now down the back straight. Drew Kemp trying to recover on the outside line. He certainly got the confidence to try alternative racing lines. He doesn't look to have the speed of Jamin Lidsey, who is pulling away now out in front, and Drew Kemp is somewhat out of shape around the pit's bend. Dan Bewley now is within striking distance. He goes up to the outside into turn 3. He's going to go for the cutback off turn 4, and just as Drew Kemp goes for a tear-off just ahead of the final lap, it is Dan Bewley who comes through for second place. But it's been a far from convincing start to this meeting for Dan Bewley, and that was an excellent effort for Drew Kemp, coming in from the cold in the restaging of heat number 8 and making the start and leading them down the back straight and leading them in the early stages. Eventually Jamin Lidsey knew too much, once again going from 3rd to 1st. Lidsey doing things the hard way in heat number 8 at both attempts, and then Dan Bewley eventually finding his way through on Drew Kemp as well. And that could be a vital point for Dan Bewley. Much more likely to be an important point for Bewley, frankly, than it is for Drew Kemp, of course, who missed the opening round of races tonight, and who is only the second meeting reserve behind Tom Brennan, who'll be the first to be called up to cover for injury over the course of this meeting. And there will be some call-ups for those meeting reserves, of course, because we've lost the services of Tero Aarnio into the ambulance, and Bradley Wilson Dean, who was withdrawn before the restaging of heat number 8. So Jamin Lidsey finds his way through to the front after pretty much missing the start there, and takes a first race victory of the night. So it's back-to-back victories for Australian riders. Lidsey doing it the hard way. Dan Bewley forced to work even harder to find his way through on Drew Kemp, but Bewley eventually knows enough and comes through for second. Eight races gone, and Tobias Muzelak is now the only unbeaten rider here in Glasgow. The four-way tie on 5 points behind underlines just how close it's likely to be for those qualification places this evening. The main surprise so far, just a single point for Charles Wright, who'll likely need 3 victories now in order to progress. Heat 9 next, and a real high scorers race this one. 3 of these 4 are among that group tied on 5 points. The 3 riders off the outside 3 gates, previous heat winners, and Luke Becker, who goes off the inside gate, isn't too far behind them on 4 points. 2 second places to date for Luke Becker then, who goes in the Reds helmet colour for heat number 9. Off gate 2 in blue, it's Jamin Lidsey. Back-to-back rides for him. Winner last time out in heat 8. Gate number 3 in the white helmet colour, it's Lewis Kerr. Impressive winner first time out in heat number 1. He was second to Tobias Muselak in his second ride. And off the outside gate in the yellow helmet colour, also dropping his only point so far to Tobias Muselak in heat number 3 is Chris Holder. Australians off at gates 2 and 4 then. Lewis Kerr of Great Britain between them, and it's America's Luke Becker who goes off the inside gate in red. Becker now 22 years of age, graduated out of junior competition and did so in real style by claiming the AMA Under-21 Championship back in November. He was only 4th at the American final, the pre-qualifying event in the USA. But a third spot opened up, and Billy Gennaro, now of course long since retired from International Speedway, that presented Becker with a chance that he jumped at to be here in Glasgow today. Becker off the inside gate in red. See if he can pick up some points here, would keep him in contention for possible qualification. As I said previously though, the favourites off the 3 outside starting positions, all 1 point ahead of Luke Becker on 5 apiece. This could turn into a crucial race in the context of qualification. Becker, Lidsey, Kerr and Holder for heat number 9. It's not a good start from Lewis Kerr, it's a peach of a start from Chris Holder off the outside gate, rolling back the years there. Sensational from Holder to lead the way. Luke Becker very much in the mix, up in second position. As I said previously, the only rider in this quartet who hasn't won a race so far tonight, but he's keeping good pace with Chris Holder, the early race leader. Jamin Lidsey, who showed plenty of dash last time out in heat 8, to come from 3rd to 1st on 2 occasions, doesn't look to have the same speed this time around in heat number 9. And if anything, he's being put under pressure here by Lewis Kerr. Kerr ducks for the inside around turns 1 and 2, but Lidsey with the faster line is able to accelerate clear. So the race is up front. Becker with a much more controlled ride this time around, and looking the fastest he's looked in his 3 rides tonight. Well on course to a 3rd consecutive second place, but this in probably the toughest company he's faced so far this evening, and he'll be satisfied about that. Towards the end of the penultimate lap, Chris Holder pulling away. That's going to be enough for Holder to celebrate, and he's able to do so on 1 wheel as well. Such were his gains on the closing lap and a half there. Holder it is who takes the checkered flag, but Luke Becker, I think, probably the star of the show in that one, coming up with 2 points that you might not necessarily have anticipated against previous heat winners. Jamin Lidsey, the winner of heat 8, and Lewis Kerr, the winner of heat 1. But Kerr, by trailing in at the back there in heat 9, really means that he's going to need big points from his remaining 2 outings in heats 13 and 17. You wonder whether he's perhaps a victim to some extent of fresh track grades in each of his outings. That is the disadvantage, of course, of the number 1 race jacket, but there I think it was frankly just about missing the start. Holder made a beauty off the outside, gets across the front of all 3 of them and leads from there. Luke Becker keeping a good pursuit up, and to his credit, the American on 6 points from 3 rides, and he'll be satisfied with that. 3rd place going the way of Jamin Lidsey. He's also on to 6 points, scored in different fashion with a win last time out and only a 3rd position there. Lewis Kerr out at the back after a few pretty hectic races in a row. That one has calmed us down somewhat, heat number 9, but it certainly won't have calmed down Chris Holder. He's well on his way towards qualification. Heat 10, an important race for Dan Bewley, who's already dropped 3 points from his opening 2 rides and frankly hasn't looked to have a great deal of speed. So Bewley needs to get back on the score chart in a major way here in Heat 10. He goes off the inside gate in red, as I said, 3 points from 2 outings, second to Jamin Lidsey last time out in Heat 8. Alongside him off gate 2 in blue, it's Charles Wright, and he's another Brit in need of major points. In his case, more of a miracle after his disqualification from Heat number 5. He's on just a single point from 2 rides. Rasmus Jensen goes off gate 3 in white, best placed out of this quartet to try and qualify. He's on 5 points from 2 outings, second to Chris Holder last time out after a last lap battle with Nikolai Klindt in Heat 7. And off the outside gate in yellow, it's Stephen Gorey, the unfancied Frenchman, is yet to score. As I said, crucial race this one for Dan Bewley. Reserve for the British Grand Prix back in 2018. He's 5th reserve for the 2021 Speedway World Championship, which is likely to be more symbolic than anything else, frankly, but certainly a sign that he's closing in on the top flight. Partnered with former world champion Ty Woffenden at the top of the Wroclaw team in the Extraliga. And Bewley, who was pretty underwhelming for the team in 2020, made a major step late last year with coaching and mechanical support from Woffenden. and he's been an important middle-order man for the Spartans in 2021. Bewley, who also races for the Bellevue Aces here in the UK, goes off the inside gate. Heat 10 then, about to get underway. Stephen Gorry looking down at his machine, and he's not going to move off the line, so it's a 3-rider start effectively to this one. Heat number 10, it is Bewley who rides away at the front of the field. A robust first couple of turns back from Charles Wright, had his front wheel up over the grass in towards turn number 1 to try and squeeze down the inside of Rasmus Jensen, and he's done so successfully. Can Charles Wright now go off in pursuit of Dan Bewley? Wright desperate to win this one if he wants to keep his faint hopes alive, and Bewley likewise, and I don't think Bewley is going to be caught here by Charles Wright, who looks under greater threat of losing a place to Rasmus Jensen than he does pushing on forward. But Jensen over the last half a lap or so has settled in on the inside line, and I think that settles this race as well. It should be a race win for Dan Bewley. It'll be his first of the night and move him on to 6 points from 3 rides. He'll move level with Rasmus Jensen, because Jensen is going to drop to a 3rd position in this one, heat number 10. It's all closing up in pursuit of those qualifying places. Big moment there around the final 2 turns for Rasmus Jensen, who went square into turn 3, picked up some unwanted drive, managed to save it from the safety fence, and of course with Stephen Gorry having pulled up just on the line, that meant that Jensen couldn't be caught anyway. So once he saved it, he was able to trundle over the line for the single point. But not representative of the Rasmus Jensen we've seen so far in his opening 2 rides. That was much more like it for Dan Bewley, and he'll be hoping that that turns into a pivotal moment in his night, a turning point, if you like, after looking underwhelming, frankly, in his opening 2 rides. Importantly, though, those opening 2 rides, he did manage to scrap his way to 3 points. He doubles that points total with victory in heat number 10. Here is that robust second turn from Charles Wright. I think bobbles somewhat on the grass, almost grass track style there, coming around turn number 1. It sends him wider than he wants to go, and he goes into the path of Rasmus Jensen, and Jensen unable to recover from there. So a winner in heat number 4. He's had a 2nd and a 3rd since then, Jensen, to move on to 6. Dan Bewley's gone largely in the opposite direction. A 3rd, a 2nd, and now a first race victory to move level with Jensen on 6. Right out of the running on 3, Gorey with 3 non-scores. For heat 11, first reserve Tom Brennan comes in to replace the injured Tero Arnio. The Finn ruled out after his spectacular heat 8 tangle with Bradley Wilson-Dean. Long wait between rides for Brennan, who was 2nd in heat number 1, came in for Wilson-Dean after a tapes offence. This time his 2nd outing 10 races later. He'll have the inside gate. He was off gate number 4, first time out in heat 1. Alongside Tom Brennan off gate 2 in the blue helmet colour, comfortable pre-race favourite Tobias Muszczak, 6 points from 2 rides for him, victories in heats 3 and 5. Gate 3 in the white helmet, it's Brock Nickel, only a single point from 2 outings for the American. And off the outside gate in the yellow helmet colour, it's Lasse Fredriksson. He's done a solid job so far, unfancied Norwegian, 2 points from 2 rides. Well, Brock Nickel will certainly be looking for better than what he's been able to show so far. Rider who was the US nomination for the Grand Prix Challenge in 2020, finished that meeting down in 15th, but took advantage of his trip to Europe, took in a spell in the Swedish league for Motala. He's racing in both of the UK's professional leagues in 2021, Wolverhampton in the Premiership and Glasgow in the Championship, his 2 sides. Rider with some experience now, Brock Nickel, and he'll be looking for at least 2nd place in this one. Watch for Muszczak, who goes off gate number 2 in blue, the pre-race favourite. Pole didn't make the best of starts, probably out-trapped by Nickel. Nickel, though, has gone the long way around the outside on the first 2 turns, and both Muszczak and now Tom Brennan have come through for 1st and 2nd positions, and Lasse Fredriksson wasn't too far behind as they broke for turn 3 either. Now around the outside goes the man in the white helmet colour, trying to chase down 2nd place, and Fredriksson has got through this time, coming off the pits bend. Nickel just about squeezes back across the front of him, going into turn 3. Well, I did say it's been a competitive and solid start to this meeting for Lasse Fredriksson. He managed to pick up a point off Max Rummel in heat number 4, perhaps unexpectedly. Stephen Gorry fell prey to him in heat number 6, and Fredriksson doing himself no disgrace here, showing that he is on the pace, albeit not one of the pre-meeting favourites to make his way through, and he will rule himself out of contention out at the back in this one, but very much on the pace to his credit. Up at the front of the field, Tobias Michalak set to make it 3 wins out of 3. That race was always pretty much a gimme up against a meeting reserve and 2 of the lure scorers of the evening, and Michalak hardly looked back once he hit the front. Good ride again from Tom Brennan, another second place in the bank for him, so that's 4 points from the 2 rides that he has had so far. The other 3 riders alongside him taking their 3rd ride in that heat. Lasse Fredriksson between them have the same number of points now as Tom Brennan. Not a patch on Michalak though, 9 points out of 9, and he moves to within touching distance now of a place in the Grand Prix Challenge for 2021. Still work to do, but he's got 2 rides in which to do it, and he hasn't been beaten so far. Never looked troubled there, as we expected for heat number 11. Michalak takes a comfortable win. Tom Brennan, credit to him for 2nd place there. Brock Nickel didn't look to have the speed, looked vulnerable at one stage there to Lasse Fredriksson, but eventually did hold on for the consolation point. Heat 12, 2 previous heat winners of the 2 outside gates, the men to watch here. In the white helmet colour, we've got Erik Riss, and in yellow, Nikolai Klindt. Klindt, who made it as far as the Grand Prix Challenge back in 2014 at Lonigo after 3 previous qualification attempts that ended in the preliminary stages. He finished runner-up in Denmark's national qualifying event at Esbjerg in April behind Patrick Hansen, but ahead of Rasmus Jensen, who is also in tonight's lineup. And Klindt enjoyed a real duel with Rasmus Jensen in his 2nd ride back in heat number 7. Came out 2nd best, down in 3rd position behind Jensen, who claimed 2nd. Jensen, though, dropped points last time out in heat number 10, so an opportunity for Nikolai Klindt to move on terms with him in the meeting standings. Heat number 12, off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, it is Max Rummel. It's been a tough night for him so far. Single point from 2 rides he fell in his opening outing. Gate 2 in blue, a reserve substitution. Drew Kemp comes in to replace the injured Bradley Wilson-Dean. Kemp scored 3rd in heat 8, the restaging after the disqualification of Tero Arnio. Gate 3 in white, it's Erik Riss, I mentioned, a previous heat winner, took heat number 6, ahead of Luke Becker and Lasse Fredriksson. Good battle there was in that one at the head of the field as well. And it's Nikolai Klindt who goes off the outside gate in the yellow helmet colour, the rider out of this quartet with the most international experience, and he'll be hoping to put it to good use here. Erik Riss just digging for victory, son of 5 times long track world champion Gerd Riss, who of course was a Speedway world finalist on 4 occasions, also made the final of the 1995 German Grand Prix. He was a wildcard for that meeting. Erik, meanwhile, has twice featured in the Grand Prix qualifiers, but on both occasions in his home country, with a best finish of 9th in the preliminaries. He's looking to do better than that and make it through here today. Heat number 12 then, the last of our round 3 heat races goes, takes up, and it's a good start off gate number 2 again. Drew Kemp has popped out of the tracks just as he did in heat number 8. This time he's aggressively moved aside. Erik Riss comes bundling through, coming off the pits bend, and Drew Kemp looks to hit problems going in towards turn number 3, and he's now gone to the back, Rummel through for 3rd place. Riss it is then who leads the way, but Nikolai Klindt is pursuing him quite forcefully. Klindt was close down the back straight on Erik Riss, but couldn't quite get there on the opening lap. This time around he's even closer, but he overcooks it slightly, coming off turn number 4. So that's a couple of attempts at making this pass now that Nikolai Klindt has had as he looks for his 2nd race victory of the evening, and both of them have come up short so far. Erik Riss defending well, goes to the inside line around 3 and 4. Klindt building up his speed. 1 to go for Nikolai Klindt to try and find his way through to the front. The winner of heat number 2 on the outside line. The winner of his 2nd ride, heat number 6, Erik Riss still leading the way. Klindt goes for bust. 1 final attack around the outside line. It's a drag race to the line. Oh, Klint's just nicked it. Nikolai Klindt squeezes through in the run to the finish by the narrowest of margins on Erik Riss. Great ride that from Klindt. For my money, stole it after he lost out on the final lap in heat number 7. Klindt gets his revenge by taking the victory, and he certainly thinks he's got it, and Erik Riss looks dejected. That is now confirmed. Nikolai Klindt takes the 3 race points, ahead of Erik Riss in 2nd, and Max Rummel collects the consolation point in third. It was Drew Kemp who made the fastest start, really caught the others by surprise almost off gate number 2, but couldn't hold the position. Riss forcing his way through, had the inside of Nikolai Klindt moved across the path of Drew Kemp as well, coming off turn number 2. But the action was in the latter stages. Nikolai Klindt up in the dirt. Riss has a momentary bobble coming off turn number 4. Klindt breathes in and races to the line, and he has indeed just about nicked it. Fine ride that from Nikolai Klindt in heat number 12. Just 8 races remain, and the top 9 in the meeting standings are all covered by just 4 points. So nobody's safe yet, and those qualification spaces remain very open. 10th and 11th still in contention as well, but barring a miracle, those behind look out of the running. Back-to-back rides here for Nikolai Klindt after his Heat 12 victory, his second success of the night to move him on to 7 points from his 3 outings. This his 4th appearance of the evening. Nikolai Klindt, who was 5th in the 2021 Danish final that took place 10 days ago, suffered a mechanical failure that cost him a potential medal ranking. He was runner-up in the 2020 edition of that Danish championship. Klindt, the rider we're waiting for up at Tapes, goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, understandably last into line with 2 rides in succession. Dan Bewley goes off gate number 2 in the blue helmet colour, winner last time out in heat number 10. He's on 6 points compared to 7 for Klindt. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, it's Lasse Fredriksson. He was held at the back last time out, his first non-scoring ride of the evening behind Brock Nickel in heat number 11. He's on 2 points from 3 rides, and with all due respect, a make weight in this lineup. Off the outside gate in yellow, it's Lewis Kerr. Now, Kerr failed to score last time out in heat 9, and that does leave him needing probably a top 2 finish in his 2 remaining outings if he is to qualify through to the Grand Prix Challenge later this year in Slovakia. So Kerr somewhat under pressure, not least because the 2 riders off the 2 inside gates will certainly be the pre-race favourites here. Bewley looking much more on the pace last time out with that victory over Charles Wright and Rasmus Jensen. Jensen in particular has been going well in this meeting. Lewis Kerr, by contrast, started the meeting strongly with victory in heat number 1, but faded last time out in heat number 9. First of the round 4 heat races about to get underway then. Heat number 13, Klindt, Bewley, Fredriksson and Kerr is your lineup. Riders looking down at the magnets, and we're underway. Great start off the inside gate from Nikolai Klindt, the man who on occasions has had to do things the hard way tonight. Street clear down the back straight to try and put the meters between himself and Dan Bewley, who's emerged ahead of fellow countryman Lewis Kerr for 2nd place. Kerr not too far adrift at the end of the opening lap, and as I said previously, really could do with a top 2 finish here. He tries to squeeze back around the inside of Dan Bewley on the pits turn. I think Bewley's got just about enough momentum at this stage to carry himself clear, and Kerr then locks up coming off turn number 4, and that seemingly ends his challenge for the moment at least. Well adrift out at the back is Lasse Fredriksson, understandably struggling in the company of 3 riders who've all been heat winners in this meeting tonight. And we're going to have one final lap here between Nikolai Klindt and Dan Bewley at the opposite end of the field, because Bewley really is winding it on, closing down Nikolai Klindt, who twice has looked the wrong way. Bewley does tend to favour the outside line. He's going to favour it again on these final 2 turns, goes for the cutback, but he can't pull off a Nikolai Klindt move on the man himself, and Klindt holds on in the run down to the line. So it's a 3rd win of the evening for Nikolai Klindt. Back-to-back rides and back-to-back wins to move on to a double-figure tally. And Nikolai Klindt is not too far away now from qualifying to the Speedway Grand Prix Challenge. He'll be so satisfied with how things have panned out, and what might have been for him as well. Had he not dropped another point to Rasmus Jensen on the final lap of heat number 7, he'd be well and truly in contention for the meeting victory. But the first priority, certainly to make it through to the challenge, and Klindt with a 3rd win realises that he has moved 1 step closer. 2nd place for Dan Bewley, not ideal but not disastrous. He moves on to 8 points from 4 rides, and I suspect he might be looking for a victory in his final outing, which is heat number 19, so still a way to go to see how things shake down in terms of those point standings. What does look to be the case is that Lewis Kerr has dropped really out of the running with just a single point from his 2 most recent rides. Heat 14, and a real opportunity for Chris Holder to take a major stride towards the Grand Prix Challenge. The 2 riders off the inside 2 gates have just 2 points between them, and the field is completed by this man, the reserve Tom Brennan. Holder, meanwhile, already on 8 points out of a possible 9, A victory in this one would move him back in front of Nikolai Klindt and back to the top of the meeting leaderboard. Heat number 14 in full then. Off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, it is Stephen Gorey. The Frenchman yet to score, had a mechanical retirement on the starting line last time out for him in heat number 10. Gate 2 in blue, it's Max Rummel, 2 third places in his 2 most recent outings. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, this is only his 3rd ride of the night, Tom Brennan, and he scored 2 second places in his 2 previous outings. Off the outside gate in yellow, Chris Holder, as I said, comfortably the pre-race favourite. Back-to-back victories for him in heats 7 and 9, and he's moving inexorably closer to a place in the Grand Prix Challenge. As I said, Stephen Gorey off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, yet to score. This meeting coming too early in his career, really, but he will be an under-21 world finalist in 2021. Performed brilliantly in the Gustrov qualifier a week ago today, claimed 6th ahead of the likes of Mateusz Widnicki, and Gorey, who was seeded to the one-off world final in 2020 in Pardubice, this time has qualified by right. So still plenty of big meetings for him to look forward to this season, even if his Grand Prix dream ends for 2021. Starting marshal has them settled. Watch for the man off the outside gate in yellow, Chris Holder, as the takes go up on heat number 14. Holder's missed the start. It's the man in the blue helmet colour, Max Rummel, who gets the whole shot, and Tom Brennan has trapped Chris Holder down in 3rd position in the early stages, and Holder has got his work cut out to try and weave his way through the field here. Stephen Gorey even not too far adrift as they came off turn number 4. Holder was held back by Rummel moving out unexpectedly, perhaps to Holder coming around turns 3 and 4. Rummel is going backwards. Gorey might now move through for 3rd position, but what an assured ride so far. Out in front for Tom Brennan, and he's got the former world champion all over his exhaust pipe. Brennan leaving the door open there around turns 1 and 2. He won't be able to afford to do that too many more times in this race, otherwise he will lose this race lead, because he's got one of the most experienced men in this lineup right on his tail. They come into the closing stages though, and Brennan has played this perfectly. He managed to get to the front of the field, wily down the back straight on the opening lap, and now he's fending off the 2012 world champion. It's going to be a race to the line. It's going to be a close one, a very close one. Tom Brennan holds on for 3 3/4 laps at very least, but did he hold on for the full 4? I think we'll have to wait for confirmation on that one, because Tom Brennan put in the ride of his life, but Chris Holder was not going to be denied. Brennan coming round on a lap of honour to celebrate. Chris Holder no doubt will want to make everyone think that he's won it as well. It was certainly a very close finish to that one, heat number 14. Brennan celebrates down the start-finish straight, pointed to himself at one stage there on his lap of honour as if to say, did I get it? Waiting for confirmation from the crowd. And a fine performance, whatever the outcome, once we get official confirmation from the referee, as Brennan led from the back straight on the opening lap, managed to squeeze his way past Max Rummel, who'd made the initial jump. Rummel from there engaged in a tussle with Stephen Gorey, and a photo finish between Tom Brennan and Chris Holder, but I can confirm it's Brennan who's got it. Tom Brennan claims victory in heat number 14, only a 2nd defeat of the night for Chris Holder, who nonetheless moves on to a double-figure tally on 10, but Brennan, from just 3 rides, has managed to muster 7 points and a race victory. Jamin Lidzi is the best placed of the 4 riders in this one, heat number 15. He sits on 6 points from 3 rides so far. He was the winner of heat number 8. He's the man to watch here off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. Alongside him in the blue helmet will be Brock Nickel. Disappointing meeting for him so far. Just 2 points from 3 rides. The American, something of a home representative here at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium, of course. Races for Glasgow in 2021. And certainly made a big step forward last Friday. Dropped just 1 point from his opening 4 rides at home. But he's not been able to carry that form into this evening's fixture. As I said, just 2 third places, the best of his results. Gate 3 in white, it's Eric Riss. He's still in contention as well. 5 points from his 2 most recent outings. Just be frustrated that he came in at the back in his opening ride in tough company in heat number 3, because he's looked much stronger since then. He'll also be frustrated that he gave away a point on the final turn to Nikolai Klindt in his last ride, heat number 12. Completing the lineup here off the outside gate in yellow, it's Charles Wright on only 3 points from his 3 rides to date, and that rather leaves him out of the running. So the focus on the riders off gates 1 and 3, in particular Jamin Lidzi on 6, but also Eric Riss off gate 3, who, as I said previously, is on 5. Just waiting for the riders to settle in. Brock Nickel settling his bike to rest off gate 2 in blue. two-time US national champion at Costa Mesa Speedway in California, most recently in 2020, and 19 points from 3 fixtures so far at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium in 2021. Can he give something for the Glasgow fans to cheer in the closing stages of this match? Favourites for qualification from this one, Heat 15, off gates 1 and 3, and they are the two men that have made the fastest starts. Lidsey off the inside will go the shortest way around the pits bend. Eric Riss, the man with the momentum. Can he do anything with it now around the top turn? Charles Wright is also in the mix with his former red car teammate Eric Riss, who sits in second place. Riss was close to the back of Jamin Lidsey coming off turn number 4, but couldn't quite get there, and Riss going for the outside then on turns 1 and 2 left himself vulnerable to Charles Wright. Foot off the footrest down the back straight. Riss a little bit wayward over the last lap or so. He's got to settle things down now if he wants to take this second place, because Charles Wright is charging hard. Wright manages to squeeze through, blocks out Riss, who I think even clatters the safety fence down the back straight, and Eric Riss has dropped backwards. He was right on the tail at one stage of challenging Jamin Lidsey, and instead he's gone behind Charles Wright, and Wright is actually beginning to close Lidsey down at the front of the field, so Charles Wright turning into something of a spoiler. He's spoiled Eric Riss's party here in heat number 15. He's not quite close enough to spoil Jamin Lidsey's, and Lidsey holds on for a second race victory of the night. The winner of heat number 8 is also the winner of heat 15, moves himself on to 9 points from 4 rides, and very much in contention for a place in the Speedway Grand Prix Challenge. By my reckoning, that'll rule out Eric Riss down in 3rd position, 6 points from 4 rides. He'd need a miracle from here, and Charles Wright, all he's done really by coming through for 2nd place is make life that much more difficult for Eric Riss. Brock Nicol out at the back, never really featured. The entertainment there was Charles Wright coming through the order, battling his way past Eric Riss. Riss busting a gut to try and get on terms with Jamin Lidsey, and eventually that was his undoing as he conceded 2nd place in that one, heat 15. Confirmed result then of the 15th, and it's a win for Jamin Lidsey. He moves on to 9 points. 2nd place going the way of Charles Wright, still looking for his first race victory of the evening. He moves on to 5. 3rd place going the way of Eric Riss to sit him on 6 points with 1 ride remaining. Brock Nicol suffers his 2nd last place of the night. Heat 16, and what could be a defining ride for Tobias Muszalak. A win here, and he is through to the challenge with an outing to spare. Drew Kemp comes in the white helmet colour to complete the lineup, covering for the injured Bradley Wilson-Dean. And the other 3 riders in this race all still very much in contention for a place in the challenge. Muszalak then goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. 3 wins out of 3 for him thus far. Gate 2 in blue is with Luke Becker. He's had 3 second places. He might need a win between now and the end of this meeting if he wants to make it through. Gate 3 in white, Drew Kemp completes the lineup, but he's only on a single point from 2 rides so far. He's been making fast starts though, so watch out for him making mischief again on the opening lap here. Of the outside gate in yellow, it's Rasmus Jensen. Won his opening ride. His meeting has tailed off since then. 6 points from 3 outings. Needs a sprint finish in the next 2 races because he will feature in back-to-back rides, heat 16 and then straight out next time around for heat 17. So Muszalak within touching distance of a place in the challenge. As I've said, a win here and he would have done the job already. His final programmed ride is heat number 18. He's got 2 inside start positions with which to finish this meeting. 2 of the last 3 races have been won from that inside gate. Nikolai Klindt in heat 13 and then Jamin Lidsey last time out in heat 15. But there's certainly enough of a dirt run for Rasmus Jensen to try and do something here. He'd certainly like to bank the 3 race points, and Luke Becker needs at least a 2nd position, you fancy, if he is to really propel himself among the lead contenders. Excellent ride from Becker last time out in heat number 9. Heat 16 then, the last of the round 4 heat races gets underway. Muszalak once again with a customary fast start. He's first to the first turn, moves Drew Kemp out of the way. Chopping back to the inside line though and catching the pole by surprise to hit the front is Rasmus Jensen. Muszalak then aggressive on the inside into turn number 3. Jensen with the cutback, but he overlocks slightly coming off turn 4. And that enables Muszalak to establish himself up at the head of the field. The battle is now on for 2nd. Luke Becker, super aggressive there on Rasmus Jensen, knows that every point is vital if he is to qualify through to the challenge, and that Jensen is one of his most direct rivals. Remember that Rasmus Jensen and Luke Becker both sit on 6 points coming into this race, so Jensen would move a place above Becker in the meeting standings if things stay as they are at present. Drew Kemp menacing out at the back. He's not too far adrift once again, showing that he can keep pace with these Grand Prix hopefuls, but it does look as though it's closer now for third position than it is for second. Becker beginning to be tailed off somewhat by Rasmus Jensen, although just as I say that, Jensen doesn't get the best of runs around the final 2 turns. He has to look over his shoulder just to check that he's kept Luke Becker behind him. Becker with third place after a run of 3 second places in a row that is brought to an end, and that could leave him with too much work to do in his remaining ride, particularly now that Rasmus Jensen has moved above him in the meeting standings. An important second place in the end, that for Rasmus Jensen, despite the fact that at one stage it looked as though he was going to lose it. Tobias Mierzelak then has done enough. He is through to the Grand Prix Challenge for 2021 and with a ride to spare. Was that ever in doubt, the way he has torn apart the opposition, certainly in his opening 3 rides, and then the 4th victory in succession for him there. Can he claim the maximum? He goes for his 5th and final ride in heat number 18. Mierzelak then moves on to 12 points out of a possible 12 and through to the 2021 challenge in Slovakia. Second place goes the way of Rasmus Jensen. He moves on to 8. It's tight in the mid-pack. Luke Becker just a single point behind him on 7. Excellent racing for second place, and Luke Becker really giving it his all, but Rasmus Jensen eventually knew enough, perhaps some track knowledge here at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium, seeing him through to second place. So Tobias Mierzelak becomes the first rider to book safe passage to the Grand Prix Challenge. 3 spaces still up for grabs though, with 9 mathematical contenders separated by 4 points. The top 6 in particular, the men to watch as it goes down to a final ride shootout with Heat 17 up next. All 4 riders for this one then just outside of the qualification cut-off, but still in contention for qualification. That means none of them can guarantee a place in the challenge in their final ride. They'll all be relying on other results going their way, but any that don't finish this race on at least 9 points will definitely be out of the running. So that means a win for Eric Riss and Lewis Kerr with other results going their way. A win for Tom Brennan here, and he would move on to a double-figure score. Quite remarkable, really, when you think this is only his 4th ride. But it's Rasmus Jensen who's best placed to qualify. He's currently on 8. Off the inside gate in the red helmet colour here, it's Lewis Kerr, just a single point from his 2 most recent rides. 6 from 4, he started so strongly, the winner of Heat 1. Tom Brennan goes off gate 2 in blue. Whatever happens for Brennan here, and whether he gets a 5th and final ride, it has been a superb display from him. He won Heat 14, held back Chris Holder in a photo finish, and he has dropped just 2 points from 3 outings. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour here, it's Rasmus Jensen. 8 points from 4, back-to-back rides for him. Defeat at the hands of Tobias Mierzelak last time out in Heat 16. Off the outside gate in yellow, it is Eric Riss, the winner of Heat 6. Left himself too much work to do with a non-scoring ride first time out. Nothing less than a win will do for the German, and likewise for Lewis Kerr, who goes off the inside. Watch for Rasmus Jensen then off gate number 3 in white. A crucial race for him. He and Tom Brennan are the first away. A lot of lift though for Brennan in the run down to the first turn. He switches back to the inside and Brennan hits the front again. Jensen though has got the better run coming off turn number 2 and finds his way to the front, but Brennan chops back. Freshly graded circuit, the outside line for Rasmus Jensen not working coming around turn number 4, and Tom Brennan leads the way on lap number 2. Separate battle out at the back. It does look as though it is the end of the challenge aspirations for both Eric Riss and Lewis Kerr, but up at the front, Jensen is determined to press his case for qualification, squeezes around the outside of Tom Brennan coming off turn number 4 and down the start-finish straight. Brennan again will put the front wheel in going into turn number 3, but Jensen's got the line. He's found the line now around the outside on the top turn. He stretches his legs ahead of this final lap. Eric Riss it will be who will hold on, it looks, for third position ahead of Lewis Kerr. So a miserable end to this meeting for him, perhaps just a little bit too early in his comeback trail from that broken collarbone. But it's Rasmus Jensen who takes a win to end his programmed outings just as he began them with 3 race points. The winner of heat number 4 is the winner of heat 17, and a man who sat on the fringes of the qualification positions ahead of his final ride has provisionally moved himself back inside the all-important top 4. 3 races still to come, and it's watch and see now time for Rasmus Jensen, who takes that checkered flag to the delight of the Glasgow public. here at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium, receives a great reception as he comes down the, albeit limited attendance on the start-finish straight. Excellent action, again involving Tom Brennan. Couldn't hold back Rasmus Jensen the same way he did with Chris Holder previously. But that moves Tom Brennan on to 9 points from 4 rides. Can't someone touch the tapes in the remaining 3 races and give Brennan another shot? He certainly would be deserving. He hasn't finished outside of the top 2 positions in his 4 appearances tonight. Win for Rasmus Jensen moves him on to 11, Brennan on to 9, Riss on 7 and Kerr on 6. Now definitely out of the running. Heat 18 and a second place here for Tobias Muszalak will be enough for him to claim the meeting win. But there are 2 riders alongside him who are in greater need of the points. Jamin Lidsey needs a win to qualify. Second place would be enough, meanwhile, for Nikolai Klindt. Muszalak has the inside gate in the red helmet colour. He won from the same starting position in Heat 16. Can he even complete a maximum? Gate 2 in blue. Stephen Gorey, he's yet to score, and in this company, looks unlikely that he will be able to put anything on the board here. Gate number 3 in the white helmet, that's Nikolai Klindt. 3 wins among his 10-point total. It could have been 11, but for a drop point in heat number 7. Will he come to rue that? And off the outside gate in yellow, it's Jamin Lidsey, twice a winner in his 3 most recent rides. He took Heat 8 and Heat 15 to propel himself back into those provisional qualification positions. But he's seen Rasmus Jensen last time out pick up 3 race points and move on to 11. So Lidsey will know that he could do with a top 2 finish in this one. That's not going to be easy to muster up against Muszalak and Klindt, who've dropped just 2 points between them so far. So Muszalak certainly the favourite, but will he be able to ease up now, knowing that he's already qualified, he's already celebrated after heat number 16? Or will he be keen to end and finish with a flourish and to try and confirm this meeting victory and the biggest trophy of the night? Starting Marshal just checking on the positioning there of Stephen Gorey off at gate number 2. He is very close to the inside of his box, but Starting Marshal was satisfied and now moves away. A pivotal Heat 18 gets underway. Gorey's been left. It's a beauty from Nikolai Klindt off gate number 3. Klindt is first to the first turn. Remember, a top 2 finish here for Klindt would be enough for him to qualify, and Muszalak sits in second place. This would be enough for him to win the meeting. So it's only Jamin Lidsey who would find himself on the receiving end here. He's down in 3rd position at present, needs to find his way into the top 2 ideally. Up at the front, there goes Muszalak around the outside of Nikolai Klindt to hit the front in sensational fashion. Beautiful manoeuvre that from Muszalak. He hasn't had to work too hard from the back so far this evening. He has been making good starts, but when he needed to, he pulled a supreme pass out of the bag. Now the race is for second position. Lidsey could do with the place to keep himself in contention. 3rd place won't leave him mathematically out of the running, but it'll certainly give him a tough task as he chases down Nikolai Klindt. A quick look over his shoulder from Klindt, and I think this is going to be enough. Muszalak to win the Grand Prix qualifier here in Glasgow, and Nikolai Klindt to book safe passage through to the Grand Prix Challenge in Slovakia later this year. Jamin Lidsey down in 3rd position moves on to 10, and remember that leaves him a point short of Rasmus Jensen on 11, 2 points short of Nikolai Klindt on 12, and of course Tobias Muszalak has already confirmed this meeting victory on 15. Both will now come round on a lap of honour, both doing what they needed to do from that race. They both needed a top 2 finish. Muszalak to confirm his meeting victory and Klindt to confirm progression to the Grand Prix Challenge. So job well done by both of them. And it's Jamin Lidsey now who will sweat on the remaining results, particularly Dan Bewley next up in heat number 19 and Chris Holder in heat 20. Muszalak's celebrations continue. As I said previously, decent attendance from a few Polish fans here tonight as well. They've been chanting his name, even in the races, frankly, he hasn't been in. But Muszalak certainly justifying all of that support as he roared past Nikolai Klindt there for the 3 race points. Klindt was in danger momentarily of being too defensive and letting slip the 2 race points he needed to book his place in the Grand Prix Challenge, but he did eventually hold on ahead of Jamin Lidsey. An all-important second place, that for Nikolai Klindt. He confirms his place in the Grand Prix Challenge for 2021, second rider to book his place. Tobias Muszalak, the other, he's won here in Glasgow tonight. Jamin Lidsey, with a single point, moves on to 10, left to sweat the remaining 2 races. Heat 19 and 2 riders here are still in contention for qualification, Dan Bewley and Luke Becker. Becker must win to remain in with a shot, while Bewley could still make it through with a second, but he'd need Chris Holder not to score next time out and then to make it through a 3-man runoff. A win for Bewley, meanwhile, would guarantee him at least a runoff for a place at the challenge. Heat 19, off the inside gate in red, it is Brock Nicol. Difficult night for him, just 2 points from 4 rides. Gate 2 in blue for Dan Bewley. As I've said, drop points earlier in the meeting have left him with work to do. He's on 8 from 4 rides, the winner of Heat 10. Gate 3 in white, it's Max Rummel. He's on 3 points from 4 rides after a fall in his opening outing. He's had 3 third places. And off the outside gate in the yellow helmet, it's Luke Becker. 3 second places for him. That run came to an end in Heat 16, so he is on just 7 points, and he definitely needs a race victory and other results to go his way. Jamin Lidsey will also be watching on, knowing that if results go against him in the next 2 races, he will drop out of the top 4. His grip on a place in that lead quartet is very soft indeed. Starting marshal bringing them forward. Important race this for Dan Bewley, who's dropped just 2 points from his 3 most recent rides, but came in 3rd in his opening outing back in heat number 3. Can he finish with a race victory and keep his hopes alive? Heat number 19 then. Riders looking down at the magnets, and we are underway. Bewley's missed the start. That could be crucial. The man in the red helmet colour, Brock Nicol, is the first away. Bewley, by chasing the inside line, manages to come through for second. The 3 Americans won't be able to work together here. The man they need to try and win this one is Luke Becker, and he's stranded down in 3rd position. Around the outside now of Nicol to hit the front is Dan Bewley. Bewley will squeeze ahead as they come off the pit turn. He doesn't have much of a pace advantage on Brock Nicol, but he is just about in front of him at the half race distance. Nicol again showing his front wheel as they come off turn number 4. Becker goes deep in the dirt around 1 and 2. His fellow countryman up ahead of him, Brock Nicol, doesn't make too much of a fight of it as they come in towards turn number 3. Becker is through for second place, but really needs the 3 race points. Nothing less will do. Nicol still on the tail of Becker as they come back around turns 1 and 2. I don't think Becker's going to be close enough to challenge on the tail here of Dan Bewley. Bewley, who needed the 3 race points from this one, has done it. Dan Bewley takes the checkered flag. Becker over the line for second. He'll miss out. 3rd goes to Brock Nicol. A competitive display for him, but he finishes the night on 3, as does Max Rummel, who comes home out at the back. Fine performance from Dan Bewley there. A 3-point score, and that will be enough to move him on to 11, and that drops Jamin Lidsey out of the qualification positions, out of the top 4. Michalak on 15, Klindt on 12, Rasmus Jensen on 11, Dan Bewley now on 11 as well. Jamin Lidsey and Chris Holder on 10, but Holder has a ride in hand. For the record, Luke Becker with second place in Heat 19. He finishes on 9 points. There's confirmation of that result then. Bewley with the 3 moves on to 11, and a fine recovery after a stuttering start to this match. He didn't look particularly fast in his opening 2 outings, and he had to do that work from behind on Brock Nicol. Nicol dropping back from 1st to 3rd. Didn't put up too much of a resistance as Luke Becker came through for the 2 race points, but that will not be enough for Becker, who finishes his meeting on 9. So Heat 20 is all about Chris Holder. He needs 2 points to qualify. A single point score here, and he would move level with Dan Bewley and Rasmus Jensen, forcing a 3-way runoff for 2 spots. If he fails to score, of course, he will miss out. As I said previously, the standings: Michalak 15, Klindt 12, Bewley and Jensen on 11 apiece. Holder a point behind them, currently on 10, but with this crucial ride in hand. The lineup in full for the last of these 20 heat races. Off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, it is Charles Wright. 5 points from 4 rides, 2 second places in his 2 most recent outings. He'll rue his disqualification from Heat 5. Gate 2 in blue, it's Lasse Fredriksson. 2 non-scoring outings in his 2 most recent rides, Heats 11 and 13. He has 2 points to his name. Chris Holder goes off Gate 3 in white. He's on 10 points, as I've said previously, from 4 rides, 2 second places and victories in Heats 7 and 9. And off the outside gate, it is the reserve substitution, Drew Kemp. And Kemp comes in to replace Bradley Wilson Dean. So it's all about Chris Holder, as I've said. Out of this trio alongside him, the most likely rider to halt his progress would be Charles Wright. Second place behind Jamin Lidsey, last time out in heat number 15. And if he were to take the 3 race points, Chris Holder could still qualify with 2, of course. But if he only manages a single point, if Drew Kemp pops out of the traps and beats him like Tom Brennan, the other reserve, did earlier on in heat number 14, then Holder would have to go to a runoff. And a reminder, if Holder fails to score here, he will be eliminated just as he was at Glasgow in 2019. Watch for Chris Holder then in the white helmet colour off gate number 3 as we get underway with heat 20. And there's some bumping and boring in the run down to turn number 1, and Charles Wright is the first to show. Right with the hole shot off the inside gate. It is Chris Holder though, through into second place, across the front now of Lasse Fredriksson, up the inside of Chris Holder to come through and lead at the end of lap 1. Wright will respond down the inside. Holder doesn't need to fight this. Second place would be enough. It would also be enough for a place on the podium. But Chris Holder moves around the outside now of Charles Wright and has managed to break clear, and the race is behind him, or is it? Charles Wright will have another go. Gets the gap down to less than a bike length as they come in to start another lap, and Charles Wright squeezes through on the inside of Holder, and Holder will cut back again and again moves through on the inside of Charles Wright, this time into turn number 3. Wright goes for the cutback, but Holder's got a good line there coming off turn number 4, and with a lap to go has managed to open up a bike length lead over Charles Wright. Wright going the shortest possible route around turns 1 and 2. Holder picking up speed and grip against the fence coming off the pits turn, and it will be Chris Holder, but it will be by the narrowest of margins. Holder qualifies to the Speedway Grand Prix Challenge. He is the 3rd rider to book his place in Zarnovica later on this year. A great fight with which to finish in heat number 20 as Holder gets the better of Charles Wright. It's not been for the want of trying for the 2019 British champion. 3 second places in a row. He finishes on 7 points. But that race was all about Chris Holder. He only needed a top 2 finish in order to book his place in the challenge, and he went one better than that. He took the 3 race points for second place in this meeting. Nobody was going to catch Michelak tonight. Only 2 riders beating Chris Holder, Michelak in heat number 3 and Tom Brennan in heat 14. Fine finish for Chris Holder and an entertaining race, the last of the heat races. But it won't be the last race of the night. We're going to have to go to a runoff to split 4th position, because the final standings are Michelak 15, Chris Holder 13, Nikolai Klindt 12, Dan Bewley and Rasmus Jensen are tied on 11 points apiece. Entertaining speedway in heat 20, proving that the work here at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium in recent years really has borne fruit. We've had some excellent speedway here in Scotland tonight, and it was Chris Holder who will be the more delighted with that final result in the 20th heat of the day, as he confirms second place in tonight's meeting standings. The heat results then, Jamin Lidsey comes agonisingly close to qualification, but a 3rd place in heat 18 leaves him a point short. Tom Brennan with an extra ride could well have made it, far more than anyone could have expected from a meeting reserve, and better than fellow countrymen Charles Wright and Lewis Kerr managed from 5 rides. Credit as well to Luke Becker. But now it's all about the last of the qualification positions. Currently tied on 11 points are Dan Bewley and Rasmus Jensen. We've got a head-to-head runoff that will separate them. Only one will head to Zarnovica in Slovakia to the Grand Prix Challenge later in the year. On the inside half of the circuit, we've got Dan Bewley. He goes in the red helmet colour, the winner of heats 10 and 19 to draw level with Rasmus Jensen in the standings. And Jensen, who himself has been a heat winner on 2 occasions, heats 4 and 17. When these two met during the heat stages, heat 10, it was Bewley who emerged victorious, and he did have the inside gate and the red helmet on that occasion. Rasmus Jensen finished down in 3rd position behind Charles Wright. He had gate 3 in white. So will roles be reversed this time around? Can Rasmus Jensen do enough to nick the last of these qualification positions? Or will it be Dan Bewley who finds his way to the front? He's got the inside portion of the circuit. This really could go either way. Both have had some strong rides tonight. Bewley's only dropped 1 point from his last 3 rides. The momentum is certainly with him, but Rasmus Jensen has gone about his business in consistent fashion, has been involved in some great racing tonight. Dan Bewley versus Rasmus Jensen for the 4th and final qualification space to the Grand Prix Challenge from Glasgow tonight. And it's Bewley who's the first to show. He has the inside line around turns 1 and 2. Jensen then will have to do this from behind. Bewley doesn't always make the best of starts, but when he does, he is a tough man to pass because he has got so much speed. Jensen charging hard, straight into the dirt as if it's a tram track around the outside line on 1 and 2. He knows how to build up his speed. He has built up his speed. Less than a bike length that gap as they reach the apex of 3 and 4. Jensen is right on the tail of Dan Bewley. Bewley will know that Jensen is all over him. The slightest of errors for Bewley at the head of this field, and Rasmus Jensen will be through. Time is ticking away. Laps are counting down. Bewley within touching distance of a place in the Grand Prix Challenge. 1 lap to go. Covers the inside again. It's worked for him perfectly so far in this runoff. Jensen has thrown absolutely everything at him. One final attack from Rasmus Jensen. Deep around 3 and 4. It's going to be close at the finish. It's very close at the finish. For the last of the qualification places to the Grand Prix Challenge, it'll have to be the referee that splits them. And Dan Bewley looks up to the heavens as if to say that he may just have lost that after leading for the vast majority. 3 3/4 laps. Bewley doesn't know whether to laugh or to cry. The proximity of those two riders at the checkered flag. Rasmus Jensen really coming on strong in the closing stages in particular, but he was not going to be denied by missing the start. Crucially, Bewley got to the first turn first, and Rasmus Jensen committed everything to the outside line. There's a big screen here at the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium, and Jensen is waiting on the track to watch replays of the finish to see which of the two riders nicked it. Dan Bewley continues the celebrations. He and the British fans certainly think he's got it. Jensen, though, is cautiously waiting for the replay, waiting for the photo finish, and waiting for confirmation of the result from the meeting referee. Both riders make their way. No, Bewley will continue on for further celebrations. Well, this is all part of a strategy, isn't it? He'll want to celebrate as much as possible just to make sure that he does get given the victory in the runoff and the last of the qualification places through to the challenge. And that race in the end was reflective of the frenetic action that we've had all night long here in Glasgow. Rare has it been that we've had a quieter race. Confirmation of the result. Dan Bewley takes the victory ahead of Rasmus Jensen. Dan Bewley will be the last of the qualifiers through to the Grand Prix Challenge in Slovakia later on in this 2021 season. Rasmus Jensen must have been denied by the merest of fractions. Some brilliant speedway from him, and he will be devastated to have come so close and yet finish so far. 4 qualifiers then from Glasgow tonight to Zarnowice in Slovakia. Tobias Mušelák, Chris Holder, Nikolai Klindt, and after a photo finish in the runoff, Dan Bewley. Well, it really is a shame that we can't have all 4 qualifiers on tonight's podium, but it is the 3 riders who have made it up onto the rostrum that we're going to see now. 3rd place tonight for Nikolai Klindt. 3 race victories for him. Heats 2, 12, 13, all going his way. Defeated on the final lap of heat number 7 by Rasmus Jensen. That proved an absolutely crucial point, particularly for Jensen. Not so much for Nikolai Klindt, who was a point clear of the 2 riders that ended up in the runoff. Chris Holder with 13 points makes up for the disappointment of Glasgow 2019. Succeeds where he failed 2 years ago, and he's through to the challenge in 2021. Will he be a Grand Prix rider in 2022? And what can you say about this man? Tobias Mušelák, 5 wins out of 5 for a maximum. Did it from behind on Nikolai Klindt in heat number 18. Not satisfied just to take the 2nd place and the meeting win. He finishes in style with a maximum score and an opportunity to hear the Polish national anthem. Tobias Mušelák, then your deserving winner in Glasgow tonight. Chris Holder, what a difference 2 years makes, compared to 2019 where you were so close but just about fell short. 2 years later you're through, and that must be a relief.
Yeah, for sure. You know, a couple of years ago when I did it, I wasn't super fast if I got through. I just sort of come because I had the spot and, you know, had a crack at it, but wasn't. If I got through, I would have shipped myself and went, I don't really want to be in it. But yeah, obviously I've had a couple of years to sort of regroup and get going and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, when I come today, I really wanted to get in. So didn't matter, 1st to 4th, didn't matter, just get through. And the track was good. And, you know, these meetings are tricky because, you know, it froze up. You know, some gates were not real good. And
it's difficult. So it's always good to get a few points in and skip through. So yeah, really happy.
3 race victories. You look pretty fast out there. You were making some good starts, and that's always helpful in a meeting like this one.
I didn't think my starts are good at all. Nah, far out. It was a battle. They might have got a couple of good ones, but it was a battle to get there. It was hard to get some consistency out of the start. But same for everybody. Had 2 gate 4s, which wasn't the greatest when I seen gate 4, but it worked out okay. So can't complain, and we got through. So all good.
Quick word for young Tom Brennan, who must have startled you there, popped out of the start in front of you. You were very close at one stage on turns 1 and 2 to squeezing through on the inside of him. But the racing lines seemed to change backwards and forwards as the meeting went on as well. And that race, for example, Tom did a great job of holding up on the inside line.
Yeah, he did awesome. Like I said about the gates, like gate 4, I made a good jump and then just went nowhere. And I seen all the boys there and was like, okay, try and get through into a good position. And I think when we went into the 3rd corner on the first lap, I was expecting the American dude, I thought he'll stay there. So I sort of went into the middle and the American guy come right up and I just sort of missed his back wheel. And then, yeah, once I got past the American fella, I chased Tom and put him under a bit of pressure, hoping, he'd probably maybe sort of slip up. But he rode awesome, man. He rode that line that I wanted. And I got close here 1 lap and he come back and there was nothing I could do. He rode good and he got us. So good on him.
Mission Zarnovica now, is it a circuit that you're familiar with out in Slovakia?
Never seen it, man. Never been there, so have to just check out some YouTube and hopefully there's a few clips on there. But yeah, who knows? It doesn't really matter. I don't think where the challenge is. It's 5 starts, and I've been in this position before, and hopefully coming into that meeting I'll be in some good form and can make the most of it.
Well, first half of the job done. We wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the season, of course, for that challenge meeting later in August as well.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much. Take it easy.
Nikolai Klindt, one of the most astonishing performances I've seen from you, and I've followed you a great deal through the years. You were so determined to make it through tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I tend to to find the focus that I need when we have big occasions like today, and I did the same in the Danish final a couple of weeks ago. Had it today. Would have liked a couple more points, but I'm safely through, and that was the main aim.
Before we let you escape to your next meeting, quick thought about your night tonight. That second ride, second place escaped you. I think a bit of a mistake for you, a bit of a moment coming off turn 2. Bounce back with what was an astonishing ride in your 3rd outing.
My heart was sitting up here, that's for sure, because it just lifted very, very slowly. And I was seeing the fence in front of me, but yeah, that mistake could have cost me dearly. But yeah, after that, I was like, scrap that heat, focus on the next few, and perfect starts, perfect moves, and yeah, I was really happy with everything today. Like the boys in the pits, Mats and Piotr worked superb. Obviously, everyone involved with my trip over here, my Indian tuner Peter Johnson, everything, and everything worked really well today. Still a few things I can do better.
Your final ride with Tobias Muzelak, of course, the meeting winner. Did you, when you saw him hit the front, think, do you know what, second place is likely to be enough, or were you still giving it everything to try and hit the front?
No, I was still trying. I felt like catch him in 3rd and 4th bend every time, and then he was leaving me a bit down 1 and 2, which was probably the corner I was struggling with the most. But again, he deserved to win. He was a class of his own tonight.
Well, once again, many congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you later on this season giving it another go for the World Championship.
Thank you.
Tobias Muzelak of Poland, fantastic performance from yourself at Glasgow tonight. 5 rides and 5 wins. You couldn't have asked for any better in pursuit of your place in the World Championship.
Yeah, it's really nice debut here in Glasgow. Actually, in the last race, when Nikolai passed me, I was sure that that I'm done, but I really felt good on the track, and the bike was pulling everywhere, so I could pass Nikolai again. So yeah, that was a perfect one for me.
Of course, British fans have seen you racing at the likes of Wolverhampton and Swindon. You're not racing in British Speedway in 2021. You've never visited Glasgow before, and yet you come out with a performance like that. You must be delighted.
Yeah, sure. As I said before, it's a really nice racetrack, and yeah, I was sure that the track will be good for me because I like small tracks, and the corners are really nice banking. So it's great track for me.
Now, you earned your place in this meeting because of your brilliant form in the first league over in Poland, and I know there was some surprise that you effectively weren't included by your regular Extraliga club in the end, and you were sent out on loan. Do you feel like this kind of performance today sort of proves once again that you're one of the top men in Poland?
I'm not sure that I want to talk about that, because I want to focus on Speedway. This is my job, this is my passion, so I don't want to talk about decisions of different people. So of course I'm so happy that I'm in Krosno and the team is really nice. This is all great guys over there, so I'm happy to be in Krosno.
And borrowed machinery for you this evening, I understand, as well, from Brady Kurtz. So all the odds were kind of stacked against you. I think you didn't practice earlier on today, and yet you've come up with a performance like that, 5 rides and 5 wins, that I think's left everyone speechless. Maybe not your fans behind us, who seem to expect something like that.
Yeah, I was pretty sure the Brady's bikes will be good for me, because I spoke with him about his setups, about the seats and foot pack and stuff like that. So I know it's similar than my bike. So I felt good and I didn't have to practice. So that was perfect one, and I want to say thank you to Brady again.
One last thought. It's not easy to travel at the moment with the restrictions, with the pandemic and so on, and yet we've got a great number of Polish fans that were cheering you on throughout the meeting, scattered around the stadium. They're here on the infield as well to celebrate. A quick word for those who've supported you today.
Yeah, thanks for all your support, Polish fans. I felt like at home, so one thing I can say, just thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo.
Many congratulations. Great job today.
Thank you very much.
So as our podium trio pose for the media, that's all from the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium. We'll see tonight's top 4 return to the track in Zarnowice in Slovakia for the 2021 Grand Prix Challenge. Goodbye for now.